witness, fellas. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Tar Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Kevin, along with my super companions, Head in a Jar Higo.
Hello.
And Slave 2.
What up?
Welcome to the show, folks. This week, we've got an extra special treat for you. We're talking about I don't know what year this movie came out. Yeah, 2012. The 2012 Disney classic John Carter of Mars, or as it is colloquially known, John Carter. Yeah, exactly. And we've got a very special guest. We've got Preston Connor with us, a personal friend of mine, also worked on the movie. So we're really happy to welcome him to The Blah this week. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
Hi, thanks.
Thanks for joining us, bro.
It's great to witness the intro in person. After hearing
that's pretty glorious,
right?
Actually, experience it live. It's fantastic.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
he's
for
listened
having
to a
me
bunch
over.
of the. Yeah, you're welcome, man. And he's listened to a bunch of the shows, so he's very familiar with what we do.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you realize we may not actually utter much about this movie.
Yeah, we want to talk about random shit like Hostess treats, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. I know a little bit about snowballs.
There you go.
Pink, right? Pink.
That's it.
Yeah. Wow. This
Yeah,
guy's
the OG Pink.
guy's a
Pink.
fan, man. That's it. The OG Pink. All right. So, Preston, for the folks at home, you want to just talk about your sort of connection to this film?
Yeah, and actually, this was like pinnacle of my sound career. I went out to LA in late '90s. I wanted to be an actor, director, writer, and got involved through Sundance, and then had a couple of different job skills that I acquired, and ended up doing a lot of sound work, like boom operating. So by the time they're shooting John Carter of Mars, I'd gotten in with some pretty good people and done some pretty good work, and got really lucky in this instance because I got a phone call and they're like, "Hey, we need another guy. We'll fly you out. Blah blah blah. Here's some money." And so I kind of got a little bit of rock star treatment. It was a really cool show to work on. It was my first like really big budget kind of action movie. So that was exciting too. So yeah, I wasn't part of the entire film crew. So I just got to work on the stuff that was basically Mars, all of the red desert, red planet.
Nice.
Southern Utah location.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And it was a good show.
So is that like the main unit?
Well, there's so on shows like this or even bigger TV shows, you'll have your first unit and then a second unit. And a lot of times the second unit is doing kind of maybe more boring establishing shots, but in more action-y type movies, they'll be doing a lot of fight scenes and action. And so, yeah, this show needed a lot of second unit. And originally they brought me out to do that. But by the time I got there, one of the guys, I guess, on the crew, they didn't like him as much. So they kind of pushed him over to the second unit guys. And then I ran with the main unit, which was from a sound standpoint, the action movies are a lot less intensive work. So it's a little bit easier of a job because you're basically getting kind of more reference tracks, and then they go build up, all the sounds and stuff later on.
All the turkey
Meaning
punching
like
and stuff. Yeah, cool.
Like all the Foley and shit?
Well, even the dialogue, because a lot of the times they'll be doing a lot of those bigger shows. Yeah, they'll do pretty much all the dialogue ADR. But I mean, you try to give them out in the wild, you try to get as good of sound as you can, so they can have that as an option. But it's not as if you're doing a drama with two people, intense dialogue, your sound work is a lot more important than you're out in the middle of the desert and you got a guy with the megaphone and you got a bunch of cranes moving around, and a lot of extra noises that aren't going to be in the movie too. So
Totally.
Yeah, cool.
I just sent you. Preston sent me a couple of set shots. I just passed those through on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So
I had a look at them. That's cool. We'll put them in this chapter art if that's cool. Is it cool if they get shared?
Yeah. It's funny. I had to sign an NDA. Working on the movie, it was all very hush hush, and I could only get access to certain pages of the script even. And,
yeah, right.
Wow. There were cameras were completely verboten. No cameras on set, nothing. And so one day when we were out there doing this arena shot, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a couple pictures for myself, maybe for the kid or something later on, something to show what I did. But it was so long ago, and they didn't make any of the other movies, and they're like, yeah, probably safe to share.
They don't give a shit, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'm not showing any trade secrets or actor drama crap. So it's
yeah, that's cool.
Did you whip out like a little pen camera, like a little Archer spy camera?
Bow tie camera.
Right, yeah.
Totally,
man. Secret. Yeah, it was actually, I felt a little bit sketchy even taking that. And you can see like by the angles, it's not exactly a posed out picture.
No, I can totally see that.
Phone in the hand, like, I don't know what I'm doing. What's that over there?
I'm just pretending to look at my phone, not taking a picture at all.
Definitely
I'm
not
just
using
adjusting my lapel flower.
That's it, exactly.
If you wouldn't mind speaking into my carnation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I mean, honestly, cool. It's great to have you just for the obvious reasons. And then for me, like I had never actually gotten around to watch this, which I think is part of the problem with the movie is no one went to see it, which is really unfortunate because
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I really
like many people, I didn't
watching it. I really dug it, man. It's very to use a very common term here, it's a very delightful old school golden era sci-fi movie. So it was cool. It was cool to be able to kind of experience it through the lens of being able to chat with you here a little bit about it too.
Yeah, that's my watching it again almost for the first time. That's what I liked about this movie was it has that old school kind of classic Hollywood kind of feel to it. So that you never know. There's some movies you work on and it's going to suck on toast right away just from reading the script. And then there's other movies where you've got really cool actors or it's a great bunch of people. And so you want it to do well and it may or may not. And then there's movies like this where it's like, oh, the script is good and it's Edgar Rice Burroughs. So I was kind of psyched about that in and of itself. But yeah, the actors were great. The people on set were good. And then but you still don't know like how it's going to turn out. Cause I've worked on some very effects heavy shows that just, it was like unwatchable, So it came out and I was like, you never know. Like it's the crew and then it's 5 guys standing out in the desert and it's like, oh yeah, there's a big army of Martians behind you, but there's 3 people, so you don't know how it looks. I was actually really happy.
I love it.
That's great.
Happy how this turned out, seeing it in the theaters and going, oh, okay, yeah, like I actually dig that movie. There's some you don't want to admit that you worked on, but this is one of those ones. You'd be like, I worked on that movie. It was a great experience and a good show and definitely worth watching, I think.
Yeah, right. 100%, man. Well, let's jump into some high level, man, and get going on this movie, dude, because I'm excited to talk about it for sure. Let's go. Let the guest go first on the high level, man. I mean, you've got a unique high level because you actually were there. So,
yeah, I don't know what to say. There's things about this movie because it's such an old piece of material. It's like 100-year-old story, and so watching it, I see a lot of. Like, oh, I've seen that in 5 other movies already, but those movies were copies of this, not the other way around. So
yeah, we've been.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. I guess high level, just it's that old school sword and sandal kind of. You got the steampunk mixed with the kind of classic sword fighting, swashbuckling, almost pirate shippy stuff. So
totally,
it's got a little bit of something for everybody if you like. If you like the actions and the adventures and even the romancy stuff. It's even got girl power. What more do you want?
It does.
I love it.
Slave 2. You want to go next?
I already talked about it a little bit. Benny, what are your thoughts, man? I'll do it after.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally got a chance to watch this. It's one of those ones that's sort of been on the back burner. my oldest brother, Gene, used to read a lot of like, these books and like Conan books and stuff like that. So like he was like huge into it. He's like, oh, you got to check it out. You got to check it out. Lo and behold, I, didn't see it until now, but it is pretty enjoyable. It definitely has that, the feel, that like old school, that like golden agey kind of feel, but it's interesting to see somebody do a more serious take on something, we did Flash Gordon not too long ago, and like, you know how campy and silly that is. So it's kind of interesting to see like a more serious take on it.
Yeah.
On that kind of material.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an enjoyable watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel similarly. I'll just jump in briefly because I already kind of talked a little bit.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I feel similarly. I think like I very much got like Barbarella, Flash Gordon-y kind of visual vibes, a little bit,
Yes. Yes.
There's just, I don't know. There's something about kind of golden age sci-fi that's just so, I don't know if innocent is the word, but it's like the moon is made of cheese, and like twisting your mustache, before we knew anything about anything, we just made shit up, the Lilliputians, whatever. So like, there's like that, like it was just, I enjoyed the shit out of seeing the like ridiculously fucking over the top costumes and stuff, Kieran Hines kind of Julius Caesaring into the fucking scene with all this crazy shit on, and
he played Caesar
exactly in Rome, so like
I totally fanboyed out for a minute there.
Yeah, totally. And the fucking Mark Antony too. I was like, where do I know his right hand man from? And he's fucking Mark Antony from like, Rome. So
pulled these guys straight out of Rome to do this. Like,
so totally. It was a mixture of that. It was like really rock solid casting, and then just this really like silly, but it wasn't silly. It was just like fun costume and setting design, like really old school crazy. I could kind of see why it fell flat because people might not appreciate that through the lens of Marvel-y popcorny bullshit. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Is it my turn?
Sure.
Sure. I really enjoyed this. I've seen it before, and it wasn't because of this guy.
That guy right there?
Yeah, it wasn't because of that guy. I don't know. I think I was kind of I think at the time I didn't really know who Taylor Kitsch was, and I was kind of like
I still don't.
I don't. Oh, he's really done some really good stuff, man.
I've never.
He has. Like, Friday Night Lights in particular was really excellent. But even his movie stuff, like I think a lot of what happened with him, just to diverge for a second, is he picked stuff that wasn't great in the beginning, and I think or it was just bad timing or whatever you want to call it. Like this, for instance, because I mean he's perfectly capable in this movie, man. I have absolutely no problem with him. I think at the time I didn't really know who he was, and it was like they tapped him to, lead this big movie. I didn't really know anything about John Carter, but then I read that it was based on this series of novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and I was like, oh, that was intriguing to me. So I watched the movie. I liked it just fine. And then later on, I ended up getting a set of the books on Kindle, and they came with links to the LibriVox audiobooks because these works are actually in the public domain. So for people that don't know, anything in the public domain you can do anything with. So like if we, for instance, wanted to do an audiobook version of this story, we could do that tomorrow. That's the cool thing.
It's like 100-year-ish something public domain expiry or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like there's actually a lot of Philip K. Dick's work that is now in the public domain as well, which is pretty cool. So that just got in there a few years ago. So I actually didn't touch the audiobooks. And then when Preston and I started talking about getting, him in here to and we were trying to figure out which one to do, and we decided on Carter, then I started listening to the audiobook. So the movie is actually based on a couple of different books in the series, but it focuses primarily on Princess of Mars. And that's the one that I listened to. I didn't get all the way through it, but it's definitely cool to listen to the audiobook in that language from, the early 1900s. Very, very cool. So to sort of get back on high level track, like I really enjoyed the movie. Like the cast is excellent, man. Like I couldn't even believe some of the people that they had in this movie, like Dominic West and Kieran Hines and all these great actors, Defoe. In addition to Taylor Kitsch,
Bryan Cranston.
Dude,
yeah,
right?
Bryan Cranston, exactly. The list kind of goes on, man. Mark Strong, these are like high caliber actors. So
you get Defoe
I really liked it, man.
Church as well too, man.
Yeah, totally. And I think that perfectly enjoyable. I see, having listened to some of the audiobook, why they made the choices they did with the story, but that's, kind of normal. I'm bummed that this didn't get picked up and become a series, man, because there is so much cool lore in these stories, man.
Yeah.
So costuming, excellent, effects, great. Like there's so much to like here. I'll leave it at that for now.
It's solid, dude. Yeah. Like it holds a candle to like the crazy kind of Hercules, Pompeii, all that kind of historic Sword and Sandal reboot shit that happened a few years after this too,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's probably better than Clash of the Titans remake.
Yeah, exactly.
It's right in line with it,
So, I mean, I imagine you probably were aware of this considering you worked on the show, but I didn't realize that anything about the director, Andrew Stanton, and he was a big Pixar head. So he like directed and created WALL-E, and he did Finding Nemo and all that kind of stuff. So this was his first live action, and Disney just wrote him a blank check, and he had total creative control. So I think he actually is. I read that he was saying afterwards, he's like, yeah, I kind of fucked that up. I kind of went too hard, and he had some regrets about it, which, like, I don't know, like, I am glad that he's self-aware about some things he would do differently, but like, it's a perfectly serviceable flick. I guess he might have put his thumb on the scale a bit with some of the trailer stuff, which might have torpedoed some of the early marketing, because it was saying the marketing got fucked up and that's why it fell apart. And you hear about in the movie biz, like studios being like, this is going to be a flop, let's not spend the money kind of thing. And that's what I had assumed. So, I'm just surprised it didn't do better, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning to Kevin the other day, we were talking about it, and that's one of the things I brought up of why the film didn't do as well. I think a couple of things. Marketing is always a weird issue in the industry. There's if you've got a category, genre, horror film, Western film, action, buddy cop film, they know how to market that stuff. But anything kind of that might take a little more creativity, something that's between those cracks, or that kind of maybe, a foot or two in each different place, they kind of lose their ability to market it correctly somehow. And so that there's always an issue with that. And yeah, sometimes it may be, this thing's going to stink, let's not waste the money on it. But I think this one, they wanted to push it. It also came out, one of the things that fell victim to the 3D gimmicky, people, right around that same time, there were a lot of other movies that came out that were 3D, but they weren't well done. And so Avatar, this was kind of in that pack of other 3D movies. But yeah, Avatar was probably the best example of one that did it really well. But then there were 3 or 4 that just were crap. And this one, I think, one of the things I think is good about it, if you mentioned the effects or whatever, they shot this specifically in 3D, which I guess a lot of people don't know the difference. So a lot of the cruddier 3D will shoot just a regular movie, regular style, run it through a computer process and CGI.
Right.
This one, you have two cameras side by side, like a pair of eyes. And then one of those pictures that I sent over was one of the dummies. They had these different, like 5 or 6 different alien dummies that they would put in different places in the shot, and different mirror balls they would put into different shots to make references for the computer guys later. So just the whole process was really extensive of shooting in 3D. It's way more expensive. And I know the budget kind of ballooned. Like, I think when I got onto the show, it was like 130 million or 150 million, but I think it finished up closer to 200 million, which at the time was ridiculously bigger than I think almost anything else out there. It was like crazy expensive.
Yeah,
so for 12 years.
They didn't get the return.
That was a ton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently it was only beat by Rambo 3. in terms of expenses. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
But it's a good point you bring up the director too, because Wall-E was such a great, it was a classic kind of a silent film genre love story.
Totally.
Love Wall-E.
Yeah. Love that movie, man.
I can see that he brings that similar classic vibe to this, but yeah, for whatever reason, like a combination of reasons, it didn't take off the same way.
And I've always been a fan of earlier Pixar too, in the sense that, like, from what I understand, like, it's probably common across animation and regular film in general, but like, you start off with something like a script or an idea, and then you were like, yeah, this is great or whatever, and then you get into the actual making of the thing, and it kind of falls apart here and there, and you got to kind of rebuild. And often, from what I understand with the Pixar movies, it's different where they're obviously doing it computer generated, so they'll get into it and then realize they just need to jettison and just kind of regroup and restructure the whole thing. And as a result, like, a better movie is born out of the mistakes that you make in the initial, 10% of the process of making the film or writing the film. And so, like, I just have a ton of time and a ton of respect for the story craft that goes on at Pixar, at least back in the day. And
yeah.
I feel like this is like such a serviceable movie, dude. Like, it's easily better than all of that stuff you were saying a minute ago, Kev, the Clash of the Titans reboots and stuff. And like,
yeah,
it's super kid friendly, it's not super grotesque and gory and stuff. Like, this could have easily been like a teenager kind of, position it to the teens kind of thing. And like the serials back in the day that Lucas's Star Wars and like all of the Indiana Jones stuff is based on is kind of for quote unquote kids back in the day as well, And so I don't know. It's just interesting. It's really interesting.
Like 12-year-old target market.
Exactly. Kind of thing, yeah. It's a real shame that it didn't go anywhere.
Just to expound on that a little bit, like I agree with you. Like, it is very kid friendly, but it's
not a kid movie, but it's friendly too.
No, it's not a kid movie, but it's friendly to kids. And I think that's important because it's accessible to younger people.
Yeah.
But it's also accessible to old sci-fi fans, old literary fans, hardcore sci-fi nerds like us, and other people out there that work in the same space that we do, man.
And general action heads too.
Absolutely.
But
totally, general action heads, absolutely. And it's got the source material is so good and so rich and so original in the sense that, like, this is like the OG stuff, man. Like, this is as OG as the Jules Verne stories.
Yeah, War of the Worlds.
The Time Machine. Exactly, War of the Worlds. Like, this is up there with that. Like, absolute classics that were so popular back in the day. Edgar Rice Burroughs famously wrote Tarzan. That was one of his most popular stories, but this was a extremely close second, man, the Barsoom series, So it is a shame that it didn't do well. And from what I can tell from what I read is it didn't connect with audiences. They were banking on people connecting with a lot of unfamiliar characters, man. And that part I totally get, because people are, people sort of can generally suck, but they're also very persnickety, man, when it comes to picking things to throw their cash down on, and unfamiliar stuff is not one of them, man. And it is a crying shame because there is nothing wrong with this movie. The source material is amazing, and it could have been a great 6, 7 movie. 3. Yeah, at least 3. Thank you.
Right.
Arc,
Yeah, I think a lot of what I've just like kind of researching things sussed out is that Disney was pretty friggin' spineless in like marketing this thing, even going so far as to remove "of Mars" from the title because they were afraid people were going to associate it with Mars Need Moms.
Oh my God.
Which was a total flop. So they're like, oh, we can't put Mars in the title. Like, there were just like a lot of really dumb choices that seemed to happen on the marketing end of things that just kind of really blew it as far as putting it in the hands of people that would actually enjoy it, Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point.
Well, sounds like that Batgirl shit recently. Was it his Batgirl they had in the can and then they just didn't release it for a tax write-off because
done and in the can.
And like, I get it's a business and shit. and I don't want to go and like fire up the gripe engine here, but like I get that it's a business and shit, but it sucks when a movie it's like one of the old sirens, like
that's how we get the old gripe engine going. Actually, the gripe engine has like all the war boys from Fury Road. You know, it's two big wheels like that, and we got like an army of little
like
little
spray
toadies.
myself in the face with silver. Fucking
totally
paint.
Valhalla. Right?
Yeah,
that's right. Witness. Exactly.
It just really sucks. Like aside from the obvious gripes about business getting in the way of art, like. It just sucks when there's like some sort of executive change and the new guy comes in and shit cans a bunch of stuff. And it sounds like that actually was somewhat what happened here too. Like,
yeah.
It's just
that kind of stuff happens
crazy,
too.
dude.
I've been on TV shows where they were like really well received. Everybody loves it, big fan base. And a new VP comes into the studio and doesn't want the last guy getting any shine or credit.
Slap their dick on the desk.
So they want to shut. You know, so let's
really mature,
reschedule it, and we'll put on a different night and not tell anybody, and then we're going to get, all those kind of games that, it's got nothing to do with the quality or the content.
Art.
There's no nobility
measuring or pissing contest behind the scenes and business thing or screw this other guy over.
It used to be captains of industry like that were men that had integrity and a nobility. Not a snobby nobility, but they had a nobility about them in their wisdom and the way that they did things. And that is just sadly gone, because I've heard the same thing too, man. When I was noodling around on the movie that I did, it was just the same thing. The director told me, he's like, they get a new studio person comes in, they just literally want to piss all over everything. And it's just such a crying shame, man, And I think like not to...
Making movies is hard enough without that bullshit, like.
Yeah, no, it is exactly right, and I think that I'll spare the my usual sort of Disney gripe rant and just say that what we've said before. I think the best thing for that company would be to stop trying to kowtow to worry about the shareholders and this and who's going to think this and who's going to think that, and just start writing some great stories because. And I think it's particularly true with Disney because they are holding on to so many great properties and just an absolute wealth of lore, man. It's like just start writing some great stories and stop worrying about what everybody's going to think, man. If you make great stuff, people will show up and watch it.
Yeah.
So
to that Pixar point, old school Pixar, I wouldn't miss a Pixar 100%. Movie back in the day, and now I just like, maybe I'll check it out. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know, man. I get why this didn't really take off in some ways, but it's a shame in other ways, I guess.
Yeah.
True, yeah, agreed.
Like one of the things that I can't repeat it, but like it wasn't a bleep bloop. We always talk about bleep bloops in this show about like ridiculous tech and stuff. And it was like the names of this were so old, it was like all of the names were just so weird sounding. It was just like, I don't even know, man. It was like you get your, like I go over to my mother-in-law's house and she's got Alzheimer's and I'm just like, what do you think about, what are we having for dinner? And she's like, we're having salsa and you're like, okay, and like that's not a word. And it was just like there was like a couple of times where like like Kieran Hines is like the Flurgan Gurgans are coming to Cirkin the Durgan. And you're just like,
yeah.
Is that near the Björgen Fjord?
Yeah, exactly.
One of my complaints about the movie is I feel like it I'm not big on exposition, but I feel like it might like either I missed it or like I feel like I would have benefited from a little bit of exposition in a couple parts because they're just kind of thrown into the middle of things. And like, Chrissy Snaps and I were both kind of like, wait, but who's this guy? And what is he doing? Like, it's like, I don't know. I think I would benefit from like a second watching and then I would like, it would all make sense. But there 100%. Was like, I'm usually pretty good at, sniffing things out and following the story, but there were a couple things going on that I was a little bit like, well, who the fuck are these guys and where did they come from and why are they there? And,
Yeah. And it was the dueling banjo shit. Like, it's so old school that like, it's almost like you guys were saying earlier where like a lot of times everyone's seen this before, but this is 100-year-old property. So like, this is one of the progenitors of it. So yeah, on one hand, and on the other hand, it's like, it's a simpler time in storytelling where it's like there's two cities and they hate each other, you know, and that's all you need to know, you know, like, and here's the princess and she doesn't want to get married, you know, it's like, okay, maybe we're looking into it a bit too much which makes sense. Like we're kind of trained to do that now with how, you know, deep shit goes nowadays, you know, they'll make 3 or 4 movies or 2 or 3 seasons of a show. So I don't know.
Oh, dude, fuck. And
like if you put like Star Warsy words in instead of these words, like I'm just curious if you could just like snap your fingers in an alternate universe and it was like cool sounding alien towns and people and ships instead of the floofy names. Like if it would have made any difference, I think it might have, because like Lucas's Star Wars stuff, aside from the lightsabers being the coolest fucking thing ever, like. You know, it's a very similar thing in a lot of ways. And then, you know, you have Lucas's awesome ships, awesome creatures, awesome, you know, so it's very, very similar vibe. And he lifts from a lot of these serials. So
no, he admitted to it as much, you know, the like all the Tatooine stuff.
Sure.
You know, Leia's like slave outfit, all that shit was like very
John Carter.
Was pulled from John Carter. Yeah.
Which is
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's awesome.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I never knew. It makes some sense.
I want to respond to Benny to Benny's comment from before, because the sort of the irony of what you said, Ben, is that like that's what they usually do. You know, you usually get a block of text at the beginning, or in the case of Star Wars, you get some
literally,
you know, some big role, right? And the irony of it is that you usually do get that, but we don't get that here. And the other part of the irony, and this also, you know, sort of is to the comment that you guys are making about the language and some of the names and stuff. Like when this was written, when the story was written, you know, and having listened to the audiobook, like the language is so eloquent. It's so much richer. It's so much more descriptive. Like back then when there was no TV, barely any pictures, no internet, no nothing, words were everything. So the descriptiveness of it is incredible when you listen to it, man. It's just like listening to Raymond Chandler, who did all those great, you know, trenchcoat detective stories, you know, and those noir stories, man. You know, it's incredibly descriptive, man. And that's sort of the irony of what you're saying, you know, is that it's written and the language is so good, and when you listen to it, it's so descriptive and it's so well done, man. And you know, this guy was coming up with all this stuff just out of the blue, man. You know, like this is the OG stuff. So it's kind of ironic that you would say that, and that they did not do that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my questions would be answered on the second viewing, but
yeah, sure.
Yeah, no. I know they would. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird and interesting.
And broader, there's 11 books. So
you brought up a couple of good things, because I got a real issue with exposition too. Like the movies that
sure,
you know, we got to go get the red file. The red file, what's that? Oh, well, and then there's 2 paragraphs of, well, this is what it is and this is what it means and this is why we got it. But then you look at these movies that do this stuff really well, and they create a world, and even if it's got its own dialogue and lingo, like you look at the Coen brothers, who are really good at this. They take a genre, create this whole world, they just drop you into it and let you kind of figure it out as it goes. And when they do it, when it's done well, you don't have to worry about the questions or the, you know, you talked about Ronan just a couple of weeks ago, you know, what's in the case? Well, that's the MacGuffin. Right. You don't need to know what's in the case. You just need to know everybody's willing to kill each other for it. And when it's done well, you don't really need to know what's in the case. But when it falls flat, you get a movie where it's like, oh, they got a bunch of weird dialogue or these catchphrases that are trying too hard to make, you know, stop trying to make fetch happen kind of stuff. Where what's the movie? Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead comes to mind as one for me that I really didn't like a lot of the lingo, you know, boat drinks or this, or, you know, they got their give it a name kind of stuff. And it's an interesting window, because if you do it right, it's fantastic. Like you know, a couple of the Coen brothers, like Fargo, you know, it's like I didn't have to go research what the phrases meant or what this guy was trying to talk about. because you get it from the context of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's when it's done right. But yeah, in this one, it's like, there are definitely some of those things where it's like, okay, I don't know what that is, but do I need to, kind of disrupt you as you go. So for me, it's like, I hear this term and I don't know what that is. And maybe it's important, but I don't find out later. So why did I hear it? Why did I do it?
Yeah, right. I totally agree.
Yeah, I think, you're just kind of thrust into it in this movie, and I think there's maybe a point to that because so is John Carter, he's one minute he's prospecting, the next minute he's on Mars. So I kind of get it, but it's a minor gripe, but it's not.
Sure. But it's a deep gripe.
There are a few things that I was left wondering about, like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
But what about this?
Yeah. I think that gripe
specific
strikes at the
examples
heart
are
of
popping
it.
into my head, but
yeah, I think that gripe strikes at the heart of it because it made me think about like suspension of disbelief a bit, and like it's a little bit hard to take this particular story seriously, or maybe to put it in a slightly different way, it's hard to take this as seriously as like a Star Wars, for example, where Star Wars is not on a planet that you know anything about, so anything goes. Whereas here it's like Earth and Mars, and you're like, what? As a modern person, you know that there aren't two cities on Mars and the atmosphere and the things that you could make assumptions of 100 years ago. And so like, kind of by definition, you're along for the ride, but you kind of know it's fantastical, and therefore you're just kind of like, you're less, or at least I was less willing to just be like, yeah, this is the most believable thing ever, and I'm in it to win it. Like, I love all the lore, as opposed to it just being like a really kind of fun story.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can't take it super seriously because the moon isn't made of cheese, then you're probably also not going to take the language and the word choices seriously in terms of the names of things being weird, and you're also probably going to, like, roll your eyes a bit at the exposition, to tie it into that
That's a good
idea
point,
a little
man.
bit. So it's kind of like a deeper thing, but like that was definitely not what you were saying, but it reminded me kind of
sure,
whether you can take it seriously or not. And like, I'm totally fine not taking it seriously because it's a really fun movie, but I could see that as maybe a reason why it didn't hit as hard as like a Star Wars did, for example. Like, I don't know. You'd have to say a good chunk of Star Wars' success was the fact that no one had ever seen anything like it before. But it was also like some pretty fucking amazing lore, and then you got the creature stuff and stuff. But
yeah, I think the other thing I'll say or add that I think, and again, I'm glad you brought this up, Ben, because it's a good point to talk about. Like I didn't get through the entire audiobook, but I got probably 2/3 of the way through it, and so I was able to kind of see where they pulled from the story and what they left out and what order they did too. And that did not help any confusion that translated to the audience as well. You know what I mean? So, like in the book, for instance, like a lot of the stuff that happens in the beginning of the movie where he gets captured and then he gets given this title, and then sent off with, Sola, and Deja, like that actually doesn't happen till way deeper into the book. There's a lot more that goes on before that leads up to it. So they kind of,
that what settles you into the world. You're more settled as a result.
You are more, yeah. I think you are more settled into it, and I think that doesn't help the sort of confusion about things, if there is any, with the viewer.
Oh, and they're clearly making this for a multiple movie thing. Like, it was like, this was the setup movie. Yeah. So that's another kind of trapping.
Sure. I think people, certain studios and certain people have smartened up since 2012. And I think if this movie had never been made and never happened and somebody picked this up, they would have gone straight up series with this.
No,
and
probably,
now they have the capability to do that. And it would have been
yeah,
way
probably
better. You know what I mean? But that's sort of neither here nor there, but yeah, I don't think that, like, chopping the story I get, but like kind of jumping around and all that kind of thing, it didn't really help it.
Yeah. I don't know how much more mid-level we want to do, but I did see it.
Mid-level?
You know, it's like we haven't really talked about the actual movie much yet, but the plot, I mean. The romancy stuff is clearly a major thread here. And I had never realized that there, you know, is a subgenre in sci-fi called like planetary romance that is kind of like a cousin of space opera, and it's like it's its own little niche where it's like it's all about the romance and all about being on another planet, and like the details don't really fucking matter. It's just like it's a romance movie on a place where someone's out of sorts, and that's it. There's nothing more to it. And like that's what this was, and that's fine. But I mean,
fish
it's
out
like
of water story, just a new location.
Exactly. You know, like it's very fish out of water. And like there's lots of Western elements here. There's lots of, you know, like you were saying, Preston, like the piratey stuff, you know, the airship stuff. And like there's lots of call outs. But I think it's actually kind of like a strength. I kind of like that this movie doesn't go super crazy deep into the lore. And it's just kind of like, it's like The Mummy, you know. It's like I expected Brendan Fraser to fucking walk onto the set at some stage. You know what I mean? Like there's, which is also an old school kind of feeling movie. I guess maybe it's just you don't have a lot of these old school movies anymore, and like it's just fun, man. You know, like it's like I don't know. It's like sitting down reading the fucking Tintin when you're like 10 years old or something. You know, like it's fun.
It's like classic popcorn stuff, man. Like we've talked about it, you know, dozens of times.
Indiana Jones, dude. Like I got some serious Indiana Jones vibes. So
totally, man. And that's a good thing. And movies like that are great, dude. You know.
And Lucas and Spielberg and people of that, you know, era were obviously deeply inspired by this stuff. So, and I'm so thankful that, you know, they passed on their obsession with that type of stuff to us. Cause like, obviously, you know, they're 25 years older than us or whatever, however fucking older than they are. But, yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that's just so, it's like a warm blanket, you know? You're just like, oh, cool, random ass, weird, delightful space romance. Oh, the guy's fucking jacked and saves the world and he's a superhero on Mars. Oh, and the girl loves him too. Oh, I identify with this jacked man, you know?
You jump really high.
Yeah, exactly.
To comment on the romance thing, like, again, the language in the book is in the books are it's different, it's better, it's more eloquent, it's well worded, and the when he starts describing her and how he feels about her in the narration in the book, it's awesome.
And in the movie, Space Maxim magazine cover.
No, it's I don't feel this is sort of my personal opinion, but I don't feel like they leaned hard enough on the romance or did it the right way. Because when he talks about it in the book, it's like I remember thinking about it, being like, "Wow, that is awesome, man!" You know, just it's very vanilla. The descriptiveness of how, the descriptiveness of how he felt about her and the impact that she made on him when he first saw her, you know, it was great in the book.
Sure.
I was like, wow, like that's awesome, man. You know,
old school romance.
That's
dude.
it. I'll leave it at that. Let's.
Dear Martian Penthouse. I never thought it would happen to me, but
so nice.
Exactly.
But every word of this story is true.
I love that wedding dress scene where he's like, "Oh wow, you look beautiful," and she's got like fucking 2 napkins on. She's like, "Yeah, this is my husband to be's mother's outfit. It's a little racy for my tastes." It's like, okay,
it's from the napkin era on Mars.
One of my favorite outfits of all movie times to witness.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No, one of the things I liked about the romance interplay was it kind of starts out, especially given the old school classic, you know, sword and sandal genre type stuff. You think, oh, here's this damsel in distress, the princess, he's going to go save her kind of thing. And then it turns out that she can fight and she's a scientist.
Yeah.
She can match wits with the smart people and she can match brawn and fight side by side with the tough guy. So I like that this approach, they win each other over by, surprise, we're more equals than, oh, I need your help. I need, and it's interesting to me too, when you talk about in context of Disney in the last 10 years, you got this woman who's like, she's the apex, strong, independent, intelligent, badass fighter type of a character that they all want to put out. But I don't know, because she's not the title character, it's not good enough or what. But this is like the kind of character that they've been trying to, I feel like, put out there, but it's not the political thing. But, she checks all the boxes. she's beautiful, she's strong, she's talented,
100%.
She can hang with everybody. So, why don't they have more characters like that? Why aren't they putting more of that out?
Yeah.
Or celebrating her in this kind of a movie,
And the really great ones, you don't have to advertise it. You don't have to be like, oh, there's a great female lead, strong female lead in this movie. It's like, she's just there. Everybody's going to know it if it's good.
100%.
That's it. Was she similarly as capable in the books?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. And I think
that's old school. That's like 100-year-old fucking girl power. Like, that's not super common back in those days. So that's cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you wanted to transition from mid-level. Let's jump in here and just talk about. We can start. We're already talking about Lynn Collins, so let's keep talking about her, because she is all those things, man. I mean, she's gorgeous, fit, strong, scientist, like the whole thing, man. I mean, she was. I remember when I saw this the first time, I kind of was I didn't really know what I thought of Taylor Kitsch at the time when I first saw this. So I had never seen her before, so I didn't really think much of it. But I watched the movie twice this week, and God, was she good, man! Fantastic. She was just embodied that part beautifully, man.
Yeah, they held their own.
Again, so yeah, such a shame this didn't do anything, because she was phenomenal. She was way less known than a lot of the other actors in this story, man. Like, we named them all at the beginning, Kieran and Cranston and all of these people, man, Defoe. These are heavy hitters, man, and she held her own easily with these people. We hadn't even mentioned Dominic West, who's just fantastic,
McNutty.
So, McNutty, exactly. So yeah, that's what I got to say about Lynn Collins, man. I thought she was great. Yeah,
the two leads held their own. I knew neither of them. I still don't know either of them in terms of like I wasn't familiar with any of the other work, but it's perfectly fine. Like, I mean, nothing against the two of them specifically, but like they don't have the level of chemistry that like Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser in The Mummy had, for example. Like it wasn't quite a Grand Slam home run in terms of swashbuckling chemistry, but it was a super solid. Like nothing to really complain about. Solid as.
That was one thing I was happy about. My first couple of days on set was the stuff where they were. He had her in his arms and they were jumping. He was like jumping away to escape and stuff like that. So it's some like really technical and physically difficult stuff to do. And I had no idea who Lynn was or any. Vaguely knew who Taylor Kitsch was, and it's such a weird thing to see people trying to act this stuff out when you're strapped into a crane, giant gizmo, and being shot up into the air 20, 30 feet. And she was super impressive to me, because aside from just looking amazing, and then like the red skin makeup and the way that like the makeup work they did with the tattoos and
the henna kind of stuff.
Yes.
Outfit. Like, just, it was phenomenal, but she was such a good sport too. And I could kind of tell, like, oh, okay, this is going to be a cool thing to work on, because she wasn't overly precious. She was like, okay, I'm done, whatever we need to do. And there were a couple of things where it was like, you could tell she's having a hard time, but she was still, right there in the game for it. And like Taylor's like, okay, well, I've been jumping around in this contraption for the last week, and she's never done it before. So, he was really helping her out. And it was like, it was kind of one of those experiences over the next few days, like watching these people act, that I really hoped, oh man, I hope this movie is going to do well, because these guys, watching the performances, like Willem Dafoe and Samantha Morton out there in the desert, and they've got these like, construction worker stilts on and these big metal contraptions over their head, and their faces are all gridded out for the 3D.
Yes.
And then, I'm sitting there watching, like 6 feet away from them, watching them really give these great performances. and thinking, man, like I'm seeing a whole different movie. Like nobody's going to see this stuff on the screen, but I get to witness these performances, and there's only 20 people around that get to see this kind of thing. It was pretty unique that way.
That is
really
awesome.
Cool, man. I mean, it makes sense. I hadn't really considered Dafoe and Morton being on stilts, kind of doing their thing. Like I just love that idea of them. It's kind of the, Andy Serkis, Lord of the Rings thing, where he's like in a bodysuit on set doing his thing, and he gets matted out, but like he's fucking there, man. Yeah, that's cool. That's really fucking
very much that, yeah, because you could see like it was definitely. There's a lot of times, you'll actors. Oh, I'm just here to make a movie like the rest of the team. I'm just, one of the other players on the squad, but it's not that at all. But you could tell because this is like you're just doing this for reference to help the 3D guys, but they're in there just. Little eye movements or facial tics or character things that you can tell, and they're all just willing, like, okay, whatever we need to do for the good of the show. Like, yeah, we'll wear these goofy stilts in the desert and try to walk around like a 9-foot tall person, or yeah, whatever you need to do. Like that kind of thing really, it serves the bigger picture, the project overall, because you see the actors willing to kind of, all right, yeah, I'll get dirty. I'll wear the weird gizmo and do the goofy thing, because it's going to make the movie better. And then that really infects the rest of the crew, everybody else working on it. Like, okay, totally. It's all, nobody's phoning it in.
That's fantastic insight, man. I did watch a little bit of a pretty crappy behind the scenes on this week. And I saw some video of the two of them in those sort of, it was it almost seemed a little bit more than stilts, almost like somewhat of an exo sort of suit. But very, very cool, man. And I didn't realize that they had gone to those lengths to do that in this. But that's great.
I mean, like Circus and Lord of the Rings, and then kind of, I don't know, broke some new ground with the motion cap stuff, and then obviously Avatar, the original Avatar, and then most recently with The Way of the Water Boy, Water for Chocolate, or whatever the fuck, with like super close
Water Boy for Chocolate.
Yeah, the super close camera rigged stuff. Like I don't know. Like I love that they're able to actually like take the face of Zoe Saldana and put it on her character in Avatar, and it really, there's so much emotion that comes through with it too. So like you're not doing tons of ADR. I mean, you probably are, but like it doesn't seem like it's just like, it doesn't seem like it's some schlubby person coming into the fucking studio drinking a Red Bull being like, I'm just going to do my dialogue. Like they're out on set doing their thing, which, that's cool.
Red Bull, the official drink of schlubs the world round.
Yes. It's not like George C. Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
Do my ADR. I got 5 days. 5 days of my contract.
Orson Welles doing the Ernest and Julio Gala wine commercials.
Dude, those were hilarious, man. He was so fucked up. Yeah, dude. I mean, just like the cast here, dude. We brushed on it a minute ago. You were saying, as from a kind of plot perspective, Kev, you mentioned some of the early stuff. I think it was in the first few minutes where it's got John Cartering around the place, and like shoot him up in the saloon, gold bar shit, and then he gets bagged by the soldiers and like breaks out, and then he's sitting there and he jumps out the fucking window. Like I got a real kick out of some of that stuff, man. It was like,
that was great.
Really, I wouldn't say silly, but it was just, I don't know how to describe it, because it was like Indiana Jonesy and westerny, but it was also like funny, like it was, maybe Indiana Jones had a lot of humor in it, but it really got me in the mood, which I liked. It was I don't know if it probably, I'm gonna assume the best and say it wasn't intentionally set up that way to get you in the mood for a buckle to be swashed, but fuck me, it was fun.
It was
reminded me of that early, the River Phoenix, Indiana Jones.
Sure,
stuff.
yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was very indie, man. It was very cool like that. I like that a lot. I really liked the way the whole beginning of the movie, not to diverge too much from the cast, but I really liked the way the whole beginning of the movie, or how the movie opens. It really, really grabs you and pulls you right into it, man. And so kudos to to the writers for that. You know, just with the kid on the train going, and you know, hey, I'm the butler. Hey, I'm the lawyer. You know, your uncle's passed away suddenly. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. I mean, you probably listened to the book, so you knew. I had no fucking idea what the fuck was going on for a good 10 minutes.
Well, the intro is stretched out in the book. You know what I mean? So like we're you know, when he comes upon the sort of the hatchling, my
nest.
words are failing me. Yeah, nest. When he comes up, like that happens in the beginning, but it's like way, way up in the beginning. You're like way further into it. You know what I mean? But like in terms of the way that the movie opens, you know, and like the whole door, you know, that only can be opened from the inside, like all that stuff, you know, and then we're flashbacking into, you know, what's essentially a somewhat of an Indiana Jones adventure story. You know, he's like out west mining for gold, like all this thing. He's pissing all over the floor, jumping out the window, you know, like, and then it's like, you know, hey, bada bing, bada boom, we're on Bazoom.
Hey, Joey Butterfuck over here.
Hey,
dude,
bada bing, bada
really
boom,
want.
we're on
Look at the
Bazoom.
zooms on that one. Whoa.
Hey, look at that.
It was edited out of the original script. It was.
You had a couple bogeys at 3:00 over here.
She's got four arms, if you know what I mean. Hey.
The code word, instead of the Wheeze Barzoom code you got to say to get there, that was actually the original, the bada bing, bada boom, bada bazoom. I thought it might have been a little too regional, though. So.
Oh my God, man, that would have just slayed, dude. Jesus. Or later on, when she's like, "All right, I'm going to teach you the words so that you can use the portal." Bada,
Bada
bing,
bing.
bada boom,
Bada boom.
I'm in Jazoom.
Yeah, I'm not saying nothing, but your princess is kind of dressed like a whore. I mean, you know,
Hey, you know
Hey, oh,
Yes, it's my mother-in-law's dress.
I love that.
that was good.
She was a whore.
My mother-in-law was the whore.
But anyway, you get what I'm saying. That the opening is really great about grabbing you. There's a good amount of mystery and adventure going on. You know, before we even get to Mars and get to that all of that interesting, cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like it was cool enough in the beginning when they were on Earth, for crying out loud. You know,
It's very War of the Worlds, where
Warriors of the World, sure.
Warriors of the Words, where they just pretend it's true. I like that I had no fucking clue what was going on for the first few minutes. I was just like, all right,
Sure.
random shit. I have no idea. I'm sure this will make sense later. Dude on a train, telegrams. He's like, it's 50 cents for express. He's like, oh, big spender. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
And then, it's Edgar Wright. You're like Mr. Burroughs, and you're like, well, that's the guy that wrote the thing. And then it turns out it is him, and he's writing himself into his own story. And so there's like all kinds of like
love that
never-ending story kind of stuff. And like, War of the Worlds getting on the radio and pretending it's real. Like that, I don't know. It's catchy in a certain way. So
brilliant. Yes.
I kind of I think it's cool that he is pitching this as like a real story, and it adds a charm. It adds that Indiana Jonesy kind of charm to it, and it does take a few minutes to kind of get your head around it. But once you get your head around it, you're like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing.
Well,
and I'm into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too that's really cool about that as a device, is that back in this wasn't written in 1885. It was written in the early 19. Yeah, it was written in the early 1900s, and I think for reading print being the only medium, can you imagine being a kid picking up one of those books and reading it and being like, oh my God, this guy was handed this journal and that's what this story is? Like that is so cool and fantastical to read for the first time back then, man. You would have absolutely been just gripped by that. I think that's awesome.
No doubt.
like the Blair Witch found footage kind of effect.
Yeah, totally.
You know what? I'll tell you something, man,
Witch.
about that movie. I'll tell you something about that movie. It's great. It's good that you bring that up. I saw that movie before everybody figured out what was going on with it. Like I went straight away within the first, I think, week or two, and I thought it was all real. It scared the shit out of me, and I thought it was all real. And I'm so grateful that I got to see it before all that came out, and I got to have that experience.
100%. I got to see that movie. It was a Sundance midnight movie.
Ooh, nice.
At the festival.
Nice.
So that was like,
no one
didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
We were just like, I worked at Sundance at the festival, and so we'd go see like 3-4 movies a day. It was just like, hey, we're going to the midnight movie. Let's go check this out. It was like, it's some like found footage documentary stuff. And I don't much care for horror movies anyway. So yeah, that scared the crap out of me because it was like, this is all just like it. Yeah, it got me hook, line, and sinker because of that.
No doubt.
I hadn't heard anything about it and didn't know anything about it. And so yeah, it was a complete good campfire story scare fest for me.
Benny, I think I might have gone and seen this with Snaps and a bunch of other friends in the theater. If she wasn't there, it was that group of friends. And like, obviously it was like, oh, that's a pretty fucking crazy movie. And it's scary or whatever. And then a bunch of them went out into the fucking woods afterwards. And I was like, y'all are crazy. Oh, see you guys later, dude. They're like, we're going to get a jug of wine and go into the state forest. I'm like, no.
Let's eat a bunch of mushrooms and go into the wilderness, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, fucking, you guys are out of your minds.
Yeah. I mean, at least on Nantucket, you're not really far away from anything.
That's true.
You can wander off. You can wander into the wilderness and be lost forever. Like you just walk in any
wander
direction
into some Richie's backyard.
Yeah, you'll find. Yeah, exactly. You'll be in some douche canoe's backyard, of course,
with a popped collar, which is kind of more scary, to be fair.
It is more scary.
That is fair.
But I don't know. And that's a good point, Kev, with the whole someone, even a teenager reading this in the serial stories in the early 1900s, dude, just it's like, God damn, it would be the best thing ever. You're just like, I don't even know. You're like, I mean, I'm totally being an asshole here, but it's like you find a tattered version in the gutter while you're like going around searching for food because of the Great Depression, and you're reading the story, eating rats or some shit, Pavo 1920 shit. Like, this is great. I'm the chosen one.
Well, I think I remember being a kid in the 80s and reading Ray Bradbury stuff like Martian Chronicles or The Illustrated Man.
Oh my God,
even then,
dude.
There was the idea of like, well, maybe there could be life on Mars. So I think even still, when I was a kid, the idea of, if I'd read these stories and, Mars is a dying planet, the water's drying up, and you can see that it's still a plausible thing, even in our lifetime.
Totally.
When we were kids, it was still.
Well, Bradbury had all of those guys really pushed a lot of that stuff, and Heinlein too. Like, was the fucking Stranger in Strangeland? There's lots of interesting stuff around Mars and Martians. It's just nowadays you're like, nah, it's just a big rock. Okay.
It's super cold.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be wearing much loincloth up there.
No.
Red sand.
Did you guys say, I'm trying to send this picture over to Preston. Ben just sent through a really cool.
Is that Frazetta?
Yeah,
no, that's not Frazetta, but it's
Vallejo.
cool as hell. Oh, that is Vallejo.
Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell, yeah.
That is awesome, man.
You love that shit.
Yeah, the white monkeys and the Tharks.
Dude, the Tharks, dude. As soon as the word Thark came on, I was like, Narful the Garthark. Fucking
I didn't even think of that, man. Narful the Garthog. There you go, Preston. I just sent it over to you.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
That's
a really cool
one. To your neighbor's house, you got to drive over.
Exactly.
it's ASCII
totally.
art.
We got
the carrier pigeon will print it out and fly it over.
Yeah, I think, Chad, we got a secure dial-up line for Preston.
Yeah, totally. Like an AOL sound.
My rotary phone.
Age sex check.
Oh, dude.
What?
Yeah, that picture's fantastic. It reminds me of the old Conan, the black and white Conan graphic novels.
100%, man.
Yeah,
I still have a couple of the magazine size ones from back in the day.
Yeah, a good stack of those I kept.
I saw that Robert Rodriguez was signed on to this in the early 2000s, in like 2003.
Is that right?
Yeah, he actually had Frank Frazetta doing a bunch of like concept art for it, and then it fell apart. Oh my
god, dude!
And then Favs got involved, and then that fell apart, and he went and worked on Iron Man instead. He did as a cameo here as one of the Narfel the Gartharks, and
did he really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So nice. I mean, there was a lot of hands on this. I mean, they also said it was like it's obviously a bit of a piss take, but they said it was the longest development hell ever, like 75 years in development hell, because there was a chance that this was the first animated feature from Disney before Snow White, which is interesting. Wow. In an alternate universe where like the first animated movie was sci-fi and then everything after that was sci-fi.
Jeez, how would that have been?
It's got an interesting history.
Edition of this at that age.
But like the Frazetta stuff and the art that Benny sent through. Who did he say that one was?
It's Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell.
Yeah, dude. Like those dudes are just iconic. Like you can't walk into a fucking magazine shop back in the 90s and not be gravitationally pulled towards the heavy metal magazine style stuff.
No way, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Fangoria.
I mean, when I was a kid, when we were kids, man, I mean, Frazetta and Vallejo were just like
gods.
The gods. They were them, And I had a really good friend who was Preston knows him, man. Jay was a comic book artist. That's like all he did since we were young was just draw these comic art, man. Yeah, got us so hyped on Frazetta and Vallejo, man. It was great.
No doubt.
And Conan for that matter.
And Frank Miller.
Frank Miller, yeah, totally. I love how like I love how old school this is too, where it's like the whole time John Carter's just got like a fucking G-string on, and like the amount of just skin is just hilarious. And I love how like scantily clad she is throughout, and you're like, God damn, they really stripped her down. And then you come to find out that they actually like, the aliens in the books are just naked. It's like everybody's 100%. Naked in the book. Like, okay. Oh, yeah,
that's true. I didn't think she was that scantily clad, and I'm glad that she wasn't that scantily clad.
She's pretty scantily clad, man. Come on.
Yeah, she is. But
it was pretty scanty as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you honestly, man, if you take Carrie Fisher's outfit from Jedi next to this, like that's way more.
That's
revealing.
One scene though. Like it's the slave Leia stuff.
I get it. I'm just saying. Like I didn't feel like she was that scantily clad, and I'm glad because it really.
Sure.
It lent to the other parts of the character because the character's great and there's so many facets to it, man. Like the scientist part and the princess part, like all these different things. The warrior girl, just it was awesome, and it allowed a lot of all that stuff to come out. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, totally.
I got to tell you, as somebody who spent several hours every day around this woman, the cladding was perfectly adequate and very much appreciated. No complaints about the cladding or scanty
here, old boy.
At all.
Here. That's great. Let's keep going on the cast, yeah?
Sure, man. Mark Strong, dude.
Let's talk about Mark Strong.
Mark Dacascos.
This is one of the... Mark Dacascos was not in this movie.
No, I know. But Mark Strong. Only the Strong.
Oh, Mark Only the Strong Dacascos? Yeah. Mark Strong, this is one of the first Mark Strong things I ever saw, man. And I was like, who is this guy? He had such presence, vocal ability. His voice is very cool, too. Like, I was just super impressed by him. I thought he was a great choice to play the head Turpin or...
Thermal Mix or whatever they were.
Thurn.
The Turns.
Turpentines.
Yeah. Sure.
What's the stupid fucking aliens in the Marvel universe now that Samuel L. Jackson's fighting? The fucking shapeshifty dumb fucks.
Oh.
I knew until you asked.
Skrill.
Skrull and the Kree.
Scree.
No, the Skrull.
Kree.
The Kree and the Skrull.
Yeah, those guys fight each other in the Marvel.
I feel like this is like the proto Scree or whatever, proto Kree.
Yes.
I kind of like that there's like the behind the scenes kind of lever puller puppet master stuff here. From what I understand, it's not really in the books as much, or at least not in the original first book or whatever. But maybe it is. I have no fucking idea. I was just reading about it. But the maybe it's like a cheap way to get extra kind of lore, you know, like your father fought in the Clone Wars, and you're like, what's that? You know, like it's like we've been pulling strings for millions of years, and you're like, whoa, this story's got like lots of history, man, you know. But I don't know. It's kind of cool to have that like Stargate-esque like infinite technology baddie that you have to fight, but it's not really the point of the movie, you know, like fighting against Mark Strong and his buddies, but it's an interesting thread, maybe. So, yeah. I have no idea where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I don't know not having read all the books, I don't know where that goes. So it's definitely something I'm interested to find out more of. Do you run into anything yet, Kev, with that as far as them being more prominent or less so? Or
every time I see the word Barsoom, all I can think is, oh, get a load of those Barzooms.
Get a load of those Barzooms. It's pretty funny.
I hope somewhere in the world there's a bar called Barzoom.
Dude.
How could there not be?
They should open one up at Disney, man.
After your Pirates of the Caribbean ride, stop by the Barsoom for a little Martian punch.
It's like, it'd be like an alien Hooters or something.
An alien Hooters, nice. You know, to answer your question, Preston, no, I haven't gotten to any. I started the audiobook about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and some of the beginning bits I don't remember, but they haven't really gotten into that at all. That's where I think, like, in terms of the stories, because they allegedly pulled from multiple different books, but Princess of Mars is where the locus of the story comes from, and I think that some of that stuff I think may happen later on in the books, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I all I can think of now is the Martian Hooters with the Bazoom.
I wasn't listening.
I'm still on Martian Hooters now.
Nobody cares.
I can't get out of the bar.
Talking about the Bazooms.
The Bazoom.
Well, I get, there's like 11 books or whatever, and from what I understand, like Carter's only in a few of them, so there's like a lot of different.
Oh, interesting.
Stories about it. And there's like, he's got kids and shit, and the kids grow up and do, I don't even know. So like, there's all kinds of random shit going on.
Right.
Less about let's dig into it, and more just like, the dude really fleshed the universe out. So no pun intended.
Oh my God. Absolutely, man.
While we're in the lore thing, I did appreciate that they resisted the urge to give the female Thark's breasts, being that they're like an egg-laying species, you know, it's like every fantasy thing, like they always give like, you know, the insect lady or the snake lady boobs, you know, and you're like, a snake.
You're so right, and I want this to be like a deep-seated gripes.
You know,
you're like, I've always hated that they give the snake lady's boobs. I love that. It's dead right.
It's
right. It's a small thing, but it's a valid point. Yeah,
I love it.
They can still work at Barsooms though, because they can serve two tables at once with the 4 arms. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Come on.
There's you're right, Chad. There are 11 books, and oddly enough, John Carter of Mars is the last one in the series.
Yeah, he's in book like 1, 2, 3, and then like 7, 8, and 11 or something. I'm curious what the fuck happens in the other books, but whatever. Yeah. We'll never know because the movie flopped.
Well, I'm gonna listen to the audiobooks.
You can't read books, so
I can't read. Yeah, that's why we do the podcast.
Can't be bothered to read the book.
I actually have never. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep going on the audiobooks too because I'm really enjoying them. So
yeah, do it, man. Yeah. I love that they're public domain.
And they're free.
You sail on light.
Yes,
Aziz light.
Yes.
Nice.
I really like that. Aziz
they needed to have a guy back in the ship, you know, doing some crank.
Exactly.
Aziz, more light.
Yeah.
Multi-pass.
He knows it's a multi-pass.
Cast wise, like there's so many great people in this movie. Some of them we've already talked about a lot, but like I don't think we really talked about Dominic West. Maybe we have. I don't recall. But that guy,
Briefly.
man, wow. He is so good, dude. No, I meant like in another film that we had done. But
gotcha.
I after I finally watched The Wire and got it and got what was so great about it and why everybody loved it so much, that guy is, the more stuff I see him in and the more time goes on, like he's fantastic, man. He is absolutely fantastic. And he was a great addition to this cast. He's like one of those guys who's not like he doesn't have like that kind of Tom Cruise, Willem Dafoe pedigree where it's like, oh, wow, that guy's in this movie. But like when he's in the movie, it's like, it's great. And you notice it. And you notice the quality that he brings and the effort and the dedication to the project, man. It comes through on screen, man, and pretty much everything that he does, And I just really appreciate that. Go ahead.
Gravitas.
He does have some gravitas. Coming from The Wire too, like
does.
he's like I always forget his fucking name. The lead from Band of Brothers, the Ginge Minge. What was the fuck was his name?
Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis.
Yeah, thank you.
I just remember seeing Band of Brothers and finding out Damian Lewis was a Brit and being like, no fucking way. And the same with Dominic West,
man.
with The Wire. Like he's just fucking so good in that show, and
he's so Baltimore and
he's
so
he's such a fucking schlubby, washed up Irishman drinking fucking Red Bull in his vocal booth, and like. As a result of him in The Wire, I have a hard time accepting him in a Sword and Sandal movie. Like same way he was in 300, I think, was it also?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I'm dead.
You are dead. It was a little bit hard to accept him here, but it's not because of anything he did wrong. I'm so used to him being McNutty that like it pulls me out a little bit. But I also saw recently that along with Babs Dillpickle, he's Prince Charles in that Crown fucking series, and she's Diana. I actually really want to check that out just to see the two of them play those roles, man. Like I think he'd be a really interesting Prince Charles. I don't give a fuck about the royal stuff, but like that'd be really interesting to check out.
I don't either, but I would love to see him just for that. Totally.
Yeah. And Babs Dillpickle just
I would watch that if I would have known he was in it.
So. What?
I would have watched him. I would have watched that show.
Yeah. So I mean, I love him. I've always loved him, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was like
really
expecting good. McNutty or whether it was just some of the alien words and shit here that I was just kind of like. Him and Kieran Hines, I had a hard time accepting them as in this movie because of costumey stuff or dialogue-y stuff. I was just kind of like wanted to go watch Rome for a minute. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. See, I never saw Rome, so I can't.
I think I'm just being a little bit of a curmudgeon about it, but
that's all right.
Fine.
You can be a little bit of a curmudgeon. The only thing I know Kieran Hines from is
The Wire.
Buckets of Blood there.
Buckets of Blood, 300.
I'm just bummed out that I had such a fanboy moment seeing Kieran Hines and James Purfoy.
I love that.
Hell yeah, dude.
I mean, I'll be forgiven because she was one of the Tharks, but Polly Walker, who played Atia, was also.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
nice.
Totally. I fucking loved Rome, dude. I love the shit out of that.
Kind of dead. I'm kind of dead,
dude. What is this Rome? I gotta watch.
I don't even know if it holds up, but it hit in the right spot when it came out.
It's a television show, right?
Yeah, it was HBO.
Yeah.
It was a couple. I think it was 2 seasons, maybe 3. Did you check that one out back in the day, Preston?
Maybe
I knew of it, and I knew there were a lot of people into it and watching it. For some reason, I didn't get into it. I can't remember why. That there was other stuff going on at the time.
I'd be curious if it holds up.
2005 to 2007. It didn't last that long.
Back in the day, though, like for that type of show, it held its own, in terms of getting 3 seasons. I'm surprised it got 3, or whatever.
Polly Walker, Carrie Condon, James Purfoy, Ray Stevenson. Jesus, dude. Wow, that's some heavy.
They were all pretty unknown at the time,
Kieran
at least to
Hines.
me. So,
except for Ray, Lindsay Marshall. Very cool. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that looks like it's worth checking out for sure.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of smudged into Kieran Hines a bit, but got a lot of love for that dude. And and James Purefoy. I was like, where the fuck do I know that guy? Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony, man. Yeah.
Oh, Ian McNeice was in that too, man. He's great. Yeah, right on. What else? Anything? Cast, lore, whatever. Somebody say something. We're on the air.
How about that William Dafoe?
Dude, Willem Dafoe, dude.
Willem Dafoe.
He's got the best voice.
He does.
Yeah, a lot of love for him. I mean,
how could you?
It's very like, I don't know, invented the cliche. Chieftain adopts the outsider tribal thing, and then he gets his power taken away. You know, the character of Willem Dafoe, Tars.
Yes.
Come on, Tars. Come on, Tars.
Come on, Tarkus.
Come on,
Tars.
Come on, Tars.
Come on, Tarkus. Come on. But he was great, dude. Him and Sola, you know.
Yeah.
The Narful the Garth arcs were pretty. Is a pretty enjoyable use of that trope of, you know, the other tribe comes in and saves the day, you know, like, oh, Nartharks don't fly, and they fly in and save the day at the end, you know, kind of thing. So
they're the indigenous peoples, sort of stand in.
Yeah, that's interesting that you should say that. It's like there's these random green indigenous-y peoples, and then there's just like two different white bread cities that just go around fucking things up. Like, kind of, okay.
I'm like, oh, it's like the blue people from Avatar, and then come to find out it really is like he totally bit that from this story.
Yeah, he did, man.
Wow.
Or it's even, you know, cowboys and Indians, Westernish style in a sense. But then there's also you kind of throw in the human-y. You got this dying civilization, right? So they're all struggling to kind of have control over what's left. So that, you know, it's like, to me, there's an interesting dynamic there, because it is like, you have this kind of, it's the indigenous native population, but then you got, instead of the white man that's coming to take over and they're just gaining strength and momentum and power, it's like you got three dying civilizations struggling.
All scrapping.
Fighting for scraps, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool concept. I like that.
So I mean, even though the Tars Tarkus, he's got his, you know, he faces his trophy. Oh, he takes in the outsider and brings, you know, faces, but he's struggling. You know, he's got his own problem with his own people already, struggling to maintain power because they're looking for, all right, if you're not going to save us in the current situation, we got to go with the guy who is.
Right.
And now you're bringing this this weird grasshopper from
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, you're the one.
Yeah.
Yes, Thomas Hayden Church instead. Exactly.
gotta have Lowell leading the crew.
Definitely, man.
That was a wings reference for people that
for all the people that lived on Nantucket.
Lived on Nantucket.
One that's from Nantucket. Thanks. We never heard of the show. Thank you.
Yeah,
what's the homies at the airport?
Thomas Hayden Church.
I don't know if you heard of this place called Nantucket, but they had this show.
Exactly.
Was not filmed on Nantucket.
Had very little to do with Nantucket.
Next thing you're going to tell me, Cheers wasn't filmed in Boston.
Yeah, right.
As a Nantucket cul-de-sac, is that new Nicole Kidman Netflix show that is filmed in Nantucket, is that blowing up in America? Because everyone in fucking Australia won't shut the fuck up about it.
What show is that?
It's based on Ellen Hildebrand.
God!
It's like an adaptation of like one of her things. Ellen Hildebrand is a romance novelist who lives on Nantucket and who writes romance stories on Nantucket. Right. So they made a show, but it was filmed in like somewhere on the Cape.
Yeah, well,
of course.
There's like a little bit of footage because everyone's like and when I drop kids off at school and shit, they're like, I didn't realize that's the place where you're from. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, okay, man. Like, it's really funny, man. It's like blowing up. Everyone's fucking talking about it over here.
What is the name of this?
I don't even
train
know.
wreck.
It's got this is the most useless cul-de-sac ever. Sorry.
It is totally useless,
Perfect
but
couple.
You opened up the can, dude.
Well, of course they're big on it over there because Nicole Kidman's in it. But
That's true. Yeah.
And because everybody in Australia
dog.
knows that Chad is from Australia.
I mean, it's got Liev Schreiber and stuff in it, but it's a terrible show. Anyways, who gives a shit?
Is it called The Perfect Couple? Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Or gotta be it, man.
We'll do it next
Liev
week.
Schreiber? Yeah, let's do that next week. Yeah, Ellen Hildebrand. There you go.
Which is
The
just
cool
30
kidman of
miles
Nantucket.
away. That was filmed
what
in
was that?
Chatham.
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 We could swing over to Chatham after the episode and eat some Chatham scrod.
There you go. British tar.
Scrod.
Yes, Chatham scrod. The best scrod on the Cape.
Speaking of the best scrod, fucking Bryan Cranston should have been in this for more time.
Agreed, dude. He got his ass kicked by John Carter. I love that. He was
great, dude. I love the guy. I mean, this is probably a good transition to bits and bobs, but like him taking a piss and the guy being like, "You can't do that."
That was so great.
He's like, "He stole your horse." He just fucking rides off, dude. It's so great.
And he cuts himself shaving. He gets hit. He gets headbutted by him. He gets punched by him. He just gets his
got
ass
that
kicked.
Great blonde wig on, dude.
Totally.
Bryan
and then he's like, "You saved me. You do care." It was great.
And there was one moment which like I loved, but where he has Bryan Cranston thrown over his shoulder, and it's like clearly him like with like a fucking Macy's mannequin in a Confederate costume. He's just like carrying his body up the hill, but it's like so clearly like weighs nothing or whatever. I just fuck me. It was like a 2-second shot that I just really loved.
Really?
Yeah. There's just one moment there.
Nice.
Bryan Cranston
I didn't catch that.
as the mannequin. He should actually, they should do a reboot of Mannequin with Bryan Cranston.
I like what you did there.
Well, yeah.
A reboot.
Who would they get to play Hollywood?
Yeah, one of the best. Yeah.
It's an iconic character. It's just too hard to replace that guy.
Too tough.
Well, we'll get RuPaul to do it, man.
There you go.
There you go. Maybe Sean Combs.
Whoa.
There you go. Whoa.
Ooh.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Oh. Okay. Next, bit and or bob. We'll call this section bits and barzooms. Bits and barzooms. Hey.
It makes me want to see. It makes me want to see like a Steven Seagal of Mars. You know, like I would really like to see.
Oh my!
Italian.
Seagal
Can you
of
imagine,
Mars.
dude? Like
the Seagal running, but on Mars.
Yeah, his normal Seagalisms, and then able to like leap tall buildings in a single bound. I would watch the fuck out of that shit.
Totally.
They like break out.
Because he doesn't just twist your arm and break it over his shoulder. He then jumps and flies you up into
exactly.
No,
but like since like Seagal, like the legend is that like in his later DVD releases, he does not like to get up.
So he fights everyone from his lawn chair.
No, he fights everybody from his chair. When he jumps with the chair. I'm just gonna jump up there and save this girl.
You'd have to, pull out his ES335 at some point and like start playing some slide blues or something.
Oh yeah,
100%.
For the aliens too, he'd be like, I learned this one.
I love bassoon.
Bassoon.
What the fuck is this blues name? I forget.
I don't know.
It's
Joey Bag of
like
Donuts.
douche. It's
something
called douche
priest.
McBag.
It's like voodoo
priest
or something.
Oh, that's it. It's voodoo priest.
No, it's not, but it's something like that.
No, he thinks of himself as a voodoo priest. That's not the name, though.
Mojo Priest.
Mojo priest.
Oh,
yes.
wow. That's infinitely worse, man.
This time I become Mojo priest. I'm going to play
Vladimir Putin gave me that name one time in Siberia.
It's like the slave magic that they brought back from Africa.
My great-grandmother was a slave.
When Garth Brooks had that alter ego and he tried to do an alternative album, he had some like cheesy name to it. That you guys remember that or know who that
I have a recollection of that. Yes.
Was his alternate ego Darth Brooks by any chance?
No, it was some like country sounding pseudonym where it was like a really fake name of like something, I don't remember, something like Gaines, Rowdy Gaines, something goofy like that.
I don't know how I never thought about that before.
I'm still hung up on
Preston,
Darth
I'm
Brooks,
sorry.
dude.
I'm so sorry, man. Hang on.
Chris Gaines.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Oh wow! And he totally had like a stand-in model. Like that's hilarious.
His hair drowned out. He combed his hair in front of his face, so you'd be obscured.
We're just two-fering over here about Darth Brooks, Kev.
Sorry.
Well, I knew he did it, and I knew he was like he was influenced by a lot of like old rock music, etc. Like he wasn't just like a pure he kind of came by country by accident, but he was more of like a rock guy. So I didn't know that. I knew he made an album that wasn't country, but I didn't know it was like an alter ego thing. That's really funny.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they tried to release it as without it being. I guess it didn't sell too well, and then somebody's like, "Oh yeah, it's some Darth Brooks."
Wow.
Yeah.
Or Darth Brooks.
Darth Brooks.
Darth
That
Brooks.
is totally Darth Brooks, man.
I find your lack of country music disturbing.
There's got to be something about boots and boogieing in there someplace.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God.
Somewhere.
Good.
Friends in low places, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, friends in Tatooine.
Got plenty.
The
of those,
ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of boot scooting.
Oh man. He's just gonna sit. He's gonna sit there and churn them out for the next 15 minutes too.
That's it. I just, Darth Brooks has got to be a underappreciated highlight of this episode.
I don't know why. I don't know how I never
You
thought
can find
of
them playing next month on Tatooine at the Barsoom
That's it.
there you go, man. Barsoom.
Tavern and Lounge.
Oh, that's good. I like that a lot. That would be a great name for a nerd bar.
At bar
And a nerd topless bar,
It would have to be.
right?
Oh, sweet. Blueberry.
Yeah, sorry. I meant to send that to you the other day. I found that in the grocery store and I was like, God damn it. I said,
Blueberries still exist?
yeah. I told I'll send it to you too. I told my kids to halt in the middle of, I know I can't eat that, but I told my kids to halt in the middle of Target. And they're like, what? And I was like, Blueberry. And they're like, Dad, who cares? And I was like, I got to send this to Jarigo.
Stop right now.
I said Ben because they know who you are.
Not
They're
only
always
did
asking
you
about
stop
guys.
your kids in the middle of a Target to take a picture of a blueberry to send to Jarigo, but you stopped us in the middle of a podcast to tell us about stopping your kids in the middle of a Target to share the picture.
Yeah, dude, it's like 5 levels of Inception deep, bro. Totally. Maybe Darth Brooks was there.
You probably was.
I sent along a picture of Darth Brooks, by the way.
Is that it?
There's like a
Wow.
funny piss take about like an emo dude in California, YouTube dude. He just like takes the piss out of emo dudes, and it looks just like Darth Brooks here.
Yeah, he looks totally emo right there. So there you go. Good stuff.
That's
okay.
just a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. Oh, look at that.
You got a blueberry sticker on your scoot, dude?
Yeah.
Is that a scooter or
Oh,
a boot
dude,
scooter?
look at that, man. Loud and proud. That thing is sweet.
It is a boot scooter for sure.
Oh, it is, man.
You guys sent it through to
should
Preston. He's just
probably
like,
wear
what the
boots.
fuck are you guys talking about?
I am saving it and sending it right now. I am utilizing the power of ancient technology.
Yeah. It's 10 cents a word to fucking send him those messages.
That's right. There you go, buddy. The Booberry sticker right on the front. Damn, that's hot, dude. I love that, Benny. It'd be cool to do like a.
Wait for my next door neighbor to get the telegraph coming through to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody on horseback's going to be coming up the driveway in a minute. I think it'd be really cool to do like an entire.
Sorry.
Yes, it'd be cool to do an entire Booberry theme on your scooter, Ben. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, that is.
Yeah.
Get like a Booberry logo that fits where that little shield emblem is, and
You're
then
missing
like paint the thing.
Booberry costume that you ride around on that scooter on.
And well, there's that too.
One of these days when I don't have a million other things to do, I'll just take the entire thing apart and paint it that color scheme and just Booberry the fuck out of it.
Do it,
dude. I would come up there just to help you with that project.
If you paint your scooter to be a Booberry theme, then I will buy a scooter and paint it Fruit Brute colors and wear a Lance outfit from Pulp Fiction and ride around with you.
Dude.
Wow,
what can I do to match that? I don't really think anything.
We get to have Chocula or something, or Frankenberry or
whatever. I was always kind of partial to Frankenberry.
I'm not black. I'm made of chocolate.
Holy
What's that, like
hell,
Robot Chicken or something?
Yeah, we are way down the drain. And it's
Saturday Night Live skit where like it's like all the like food companies are like firing like Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben.
Oh, okay.
They're like racist stereotypes or whatever. And then like they're like, but what about Uncle Ben? And he's like, me? Don't talk about me, woman. And then like they're like, what about Count Chocula? And he's like, but I'm not black. I'm made of chocolate.
Love it.
Fucking, it's Pete. What's his face?
That's good.
And they have Dave Chappelle as the Allstate guy.
Nice.
That's fucking great.
All right, so sorry, I kind of got
you derailed the shit out of us.
In that drain there, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks, man. Oh, look at this. Here you go. Meanwhile,
another random shit.
Meanwhile, in Idaho, he's got horses and Sasquatch coming up to his door. I love it. let me forward this. How do I do that? No, it doesn't work that way. Bloody bastard.
I see you've got your merch from Cyborg next to your scooter there. Your Fender Stratocaster character name.
Look at that.
What were those guys' names, dude? I'm pissed I missed that episode.
Benny knows them all. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Rat. Something.
Hold on.
Rat Marshall.
So the baddie's name is Fender Tremolo.
That's it.
Oh gosh.
And Van Damme's name is Gibson Rickenbacker.
Rickenbacker, that's
the way.
Oh yeah.
And then there's like Pearl something, like Pearl Tama or something. Like there's like just like all these like
Pearl
different
Tama.
there's all these like just like really really bad sort of amalgamations of like different instruments and like musical instrument brand names.
No
smashed together.
Sounds like a drunken bar bet.
No imagination within the concept either.
No.
Right, yeah. Sounds like a bar bet. Like I bet you can't.
Nobody's
can't name all
gonna
of your
know
movie characters and out of a musical.
Not so funny.
Yeah. Matchbox.
Yeah, nobody's gonna know. Hey, guess what time
Marshall.
it is?
Yeah, nobody.
420. 420. Get it?
All right, back to the topic at hand.
All right, back to the movie. Okay, somebody go. Preston, we're going to put you on the spot. You just say something.
Do you like gladiator movies, Billy?
That was something. Well played, sir. Yes.
The arena, dude. The arena fight with the 6-armed gorillas in the mist.
The white gorillas are cool, man.
That was fun. They had it was kind of cool. Out on the day, they had these weird, they were like forklifts with crane arms. I can't remember what the technical term is, but they had these big, like 6-foot ape heads stuck on the crane arms, and they're driving them around the arena to simulate, give them here comes the ape, and then so they can articulate up and move around and
wow,
give them stuff to work with. But and it turned out pretty good. But yeah, it's one of those things of like,
you mean just for like the actors to work? Sorry to cut you off. You mean just for like the actors to work with?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And for the 3D guys watching, they give them a kind of a reference of size and scope or movement.
Is it pretty slow going shooting that? It's like, all right, now you just do a flip here and then cut and then stop and reset. And like, okay, you do a jump over here. Like, I would imagine that it's a bit of a slog. What's the actual experience shooting it?
Yeah, it's really monotonous, actually. It's funny because over the years, I friends in town or somebody comes to visit, or I got a girlfriend and I bring them to set for a day. And the first 2 hours is like, oh, this is so cool. And that actor. And I used to watch them in this, and, kind of geeking out. And then at about 3 hours, it's like, wow. So you guys do this like 12, 14 hours a day. And then about a couple hours later, it's like, wait, you do this again?
Like, can we get a
really
burrito?
Doing this thing, like the same thing again. So it is. And it's like, and action movies are even more so, because it's like, just one of those times where John Carter jumps up is like, it's a half hour to set it up, and he's strapped into this big harness. You got the crane moving and you got the cameras, and okay, here's what we're going to do. And then you got a lot of different technical things. So yeah, each of those movements and the action in that. I mean, we spent like 2 weeks in the arena.
Wow.
Like 14-hour days, 2 units, 2 weeks. There's a lot of, because also shooting in 3 days in 3D slows it down even more so, because it's not just whatever action you got to recreate and redo over and over again. It's, you got to set up the cameras for the, okay, here we're going to do the stop motion part, and then we got to do this thing. And there's different takes of those different dummies, the little aliens or the balls. And so yeah, it's a lot of just little minutia. For half an hour and spend 2 days doing this thing, and you get maybe 3 seconds on screen out of it.
That's crazy, man.
Like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. That is just,
I mean, it's a kudos to the hard work thing, but fuck me. I love that you bring somebody on and they're like, wow, this is cool. And then like a few hours later, they're like, let's go.
I know. Well, and it's weird because you get personality types like mine. Like, I absolutely love it. I really love that kind of work or doing that. I mean, more so when I'm artistically involved in my project somehow. It's a lot more, I can spend all day doing, like I can go through 10 hours as a director and not even feel like it's been an hour. So I'm just so into the process of things. But to someone else, it's, it's like watching paint dry.
Sure.
And I mean, you guys understand a little bit of it just from cutting your show up. The other thing, here's a fun nuggety bob for you, if it qualifies. I don't
Listen
know,
to this guy, Nuggety Bob, dude. Like he's here every week. I love it.
Lingo.
He does, dude. Go ahead, Nuggety Bob. That's your new nickname. I love it.
That's your nickname. I love it.
That is your nickname, Nuggety Bob.
Mary Poppins and Bob's your uncle. Down in the southern Utah, when we were shooting, it would be like, 40 degrees in the morning when you get up and get to set. And then it's 105 to 110 by like 10, 11 o'clock. And then they also had these. God,
that's such a crazy swing.
Yeah, it's huge. And then to top it off, we had like a week of like these crazy desert sandstorms. So every day for about 3 or 4 hours, we would all have to sit and like huddle up inside of tents because it was just, sandblast. I should have sent you one of the other pictures I had from me on the set. Was like, I'm wearing this like bandana and I've got a hat that's pulled down to here, and then you're wearing goggles. Like everybody went out and bought ski goggles. And the weirdest thing there's a whole department called craft services, and they make food and snacks for people because you can't run out to 7-Eleven and come back for, with a drink or something. So they'll bring, and on bigger shows, there's guys, they bring around really nice trays of sandwiches or, really cool smoothies and fancy fun foods. Well, so we're out there in the desert and these sandstorms are blowing through, and these poor guys, they're still having to go trying to take snacks and sandwiches out to people. So they've got this tray of sandwiches with saran wrap covering all over the place. And then as soon as somebody opens it up to get a sandwich, the whole thing is just covered in sand. So just a completely futile, useless thing. These guys are walking around like, "Do you want a snack?" And you're looking at it going, "Well, there's, it's red from the sand, but maybe I can scrape off a little bit of grit." And just like, "Buddy, please."
Flip the bread upside down or whatever.
But it was just brutal, it's just gnarly.
Only if you've got a sandwich.
Oh. You're definitely fucking
I see what you did there.
Okay. You know what? That is a death I am glad to have. That is that's a Lieutenant Worf death right there.
Lieutenant Dan death right there. You're gonna
you beat me too. I was gonna do it. I was waiting for the right time, but
what, the sandwich? Really?
Yeah.
I took the death for you, my friend.
He jumped on the grenade.
He jumped in front of the bullet.
What about the ships, man? The light sailing ships were interesting and weird at the same time.
Very cool.
I kind of dug them.
Well, the technology was very cool and very interesting, and they didn't. I'm assuming.
You're bar-assuming.
Excuse me. I'm. Oh my god. I'm bar-assuming.
Well, you know what happens when you bar-assume.
Yeah, well,
Take
exactly. So, yeah. Oh my god. So I'm bar-assuming that they were going to get into the technology.
And me.
I wanted Ted Danson or Barsoom buddies.
Make a bar out of Sue and me.
Barsoom buddies. To live in Mars, they got to dress like they got to pretend they're Martians.
Well, that was better than the sandwich one, dude. So I hope you're happy, man.
You make a bar to sit with me. That's perfect, dude.
Holy hell, that was good. I forgot what the hell I was talking about.
I chimed in with wanting a Tom Hanks movie with Barsoom buddies, but
Yeah, that's
boy.
I got that one.
I'm gonna give you a death for that.
Yeah, so they got to pretend they're Martian ladies.
You make a bar to Sue and me.
Live in the
I love
apartment.
how niche that joke was, Benny, and how just pitch perfect.
Yeah,
It's there's only been 3 times in human history where this movie's been talked about, and you came up with the perfect joke.
So what I was saying was that I think they.
Don't care what you say anymore. This is my life.
Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone.
All right, so no, I'll just wait till everybody's done.
I'm done.
I'm
All
not.
right, man.
Had Billy Joel in my head for the last 3 days for some reason, so this just ties it all right in together.
That's
He's just in there talking shit.
Billy Joel, and by Billy Joel you mean old Darth Vader.
Exactly.
dude.
But I you're I have a Billy Joel in my head. It's not like the
looks
songs.
exactly the same as when Darth Vader takes his helmet off at the
Totally.
end of Return of the Jedi.
So good. I wish we had that meme handy.
I will call it up.
I will summon the meme.
I thought you were
We'll
going
use
at Billy Joel's been in your head being you fucking suck, talking shit in your head. It's not even the songs. It's dude, you're fucking
Well,
terrible.
yeah, he talks shit to me through his songs. It's, Captain
that
Jack.
too, yeah. All right, Kev,
I
so
think,
you were
I
talking
think
about
Kev
Billy
was
Joel.
talking about the retro future cool steampunky tech of the.
Yeah, well, no, Chad brought
Oh,
up
yeah.
the technology and the ships, and what I was going to say was that I barsoom that they get
That's
into
right.
this in more detail in the second movie or the third movie, but in the book, they spend more time talking about the 8th ray and the 9th ray and what that's all about and
And Ray Romano.
how all that's. And
Ray's he's the 6th Ray Romano.
Yeah.
we're never gonna get to the end of this. This is gonna be a long. This is gonna be the first 3-hour episode we've had in a long time, man.
Yeah. And the stingray that killed what's his name? Steve Irwin.
Maybe that's the 9th Ray.
No, that's the 4th
Steve.
Ray.
man. Bastard. That's the bastard Ray.
Steve Irwin. No, dude. No.
Yeah.
Wait,
didn't Steve Irwin get
didn't
killed by a stingray?
Yeah, he got killed by a stingray.
Yeah, I guess he did.
He got Belden's jeweler by a fucking stingray.
Second, man. He got Belden's jeweler.
Belden's straight to the heart. Remember that? Was that a Cape Cod? Is that a Cape Cod ad, or is that Belden's jeweler is broader than just?
I think it's broader. Yeah,
that's not. Yeah, no, that's.
Everyone got the Belden's jewelers joke, Kev, except you.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to come. I don't know if this is going to scale right, Preston, but here comes the Billy Joel thing. Yeah, there it goes. It's all right.
I'm waiting.
Better fucking laugh.
Oh, right, of course.
It's about
better about fucking laugh, piece of shit.
Piano man at the Barsoom Lounge playing with Murph and the Magic Tones.
That's right.
Yeah, ooh, nice. Murph and the Magic Tones.
I just want to look at you.
Dude, seriously, that's fantastic.
With my own eyes.
How great it would be if he opened that song with that. I just want to look at you with my own eyes.
or even better if Darth Vader just did that in the movie, you know. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in.
I know that it's me they've been coming to see.
What it was that Luke Skywalker did. Da 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 da. And then we get a little transition to the Imperial March there. That'd be pretty sweet. Anyway. WNBC.
All right. So, anyways, we derailed you like 9 times. You like the ships?
It's all right, man. Yeah. Whatever. It'd be really funny if I just cut all this crap out later. Hey. No, I was just saying how they get into the first book. They get into the whole thing about the 8th ray. They touch on it in the movie, but they really kind of go a little bit more in depth in the book about what the 8th ray and the 9th ray is and how all that works. But it's really cool that type of light is enough to power all of those vessels and vehicles, man. You know, very cool.
Totally.
Very cool, different concept.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to the whole idea of like a solar sail.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, a little bit different, but like obviously different than that and more powerful than that. I mean, those ships were clearly able to, they weighed a ton and they were able to be large in scale with all kinds of weapons and armament and all that kind of thing, but they just easily sort of.
It kind of had like Miyazaki vibes with some of the like flying ship.
Ooh.
Didn't really explain it overly, but like they're just flying around, dude, you know, so.
But even the crawling ship, the city thing, you know, like the Miyazaki, that was
very Miyazaki,
with like the creepy walkie pylon stuff and
the claws sort of moving along there.
The claws.
Or there's that light ship in Tron. I can't remember specifically, but I feel like there was a similar thing in Tron where they had that ship on the beam of light.
In both of the Tron movies, they'd used the same exact thing. Yes.
It makes you wonder, maybe did they get that from that, or did the Tron guys come up with that from some other source? Maybe.
I
think people got it from this. Quick side. The new Tron movie, 9 Inch Nails, is doing the soundtrack for it. And
hell yeah.
Really, really excited about that. I don't know what the movie's going to be like, but I'm excited to hear the soundtrack.
Dude, I love the Daft Punk fucking Tron soundtrack.
I know you do. I do too, man. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to get the same quality, but a la 9 Inch Nails, which will
dude, that'd be really interesting.
Didn't he? Go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
No, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
No, it's finish your thought. If it's related to the 9 Inch Nails thing.
Only that I was just gonna ask if it was him, and wasn't it him and that other guy that did the soundtrack
Atticus?
for
Atticus
yeah,
Ross.
for Watchmen?
A bunch of stuff. Social Network, Watchmen.
Okay. Go ahead. You were going to add something
This
to
is
that?
actually going to be Nine Inch Nails, which I don't think they've done anything in a while.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I was going to say is the moving city reminded me of the oubliette from the Quantum Thief.
Oh, that too. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was totally thinking the oubliette stuff from Quantum Thief, and then that third Alistair Reynolds book in the Revelation Space trilogy.
Was there a moving city in that too?
Yeah, wasn't that like they had to like orbit the moon to like be under the fucking sun, and the different cities had to vie for who could be, this is very, very fucking nerdy. But do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I was just thinking it was like very directly related to the Hanu Ryanimi thing because it was actually on Mars.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no doubt.
Was actually on Mars, yeah. So
yeah, I love the Walking City stuff.
You have one other person that will get that reference.
Yeah, totally. Everyone else is like, hey, whatever.
Well, we're both here.
It's okay.
Sorry. Tirade over.
All right.
Great book.
That's good.
If you're into sci-fi, Quantum Thief series, best thing I've read in a decade.
Yes. What else? We need to move towards the
we're
finish line.
Finish line?
No, I know we are. We're really this movie. This is like the ultimate cul-de-sac episode, is what this is.
That's all right. We're kicking it old school.
I mean, that's what the podcast is really about.
That is it.
So
it's really about
Preston. What's the proximity of you guys when you're doing your thing to like the director and stuff like that? Like, how close do you and your team work with him or them on the shooting or the cinematographers or any of that kind of stuff?
It depends on the show, but it's kind of interesting. Like I had a lot of different jobs, and then I fell into the sound world kind of by accident. But that's one of the things I really loved about being a boom operator is that the way that the industry kind of gravitated was it went from the single camera, one shot at a time kind of way of working to a lot of two cameras and a lot of fast paced moving. And so as the boom operator, I had to be like, I was the on-set guy for the sound department. The mixer is like off back somewhere else.
Okay.
Kind of out of the picture. So I had to deal with like all of those conversations where, the directors and the actors, we do a rehearsal and they're, okay, you're going to stand over here, then you're going to walk over here. We're going to put the camera here, the lights go here. And then the actors and directors hashing out all the motivations or different line changes or what they're doing. I had to be kind of involved in I got to be involved in a lot of that.
Yeah, cool.
And so not necessarily as an active participant, but as I need to know what's going on. So I get to stand here and listen to all of this. And so for me as a film lover and a student of film and somebody who was like, I got set production jobs way back in the day because I wanted to learn the crew stuff so that when I was directing a movie, I could better understand, different people's jobs and what they could or couldn't or needed to do. So for me, it was like going to film school every day on projects like these where, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to set up, and then the producers come over and maybe there's why are we doing this? Or there's a logistical discussion about, finances or scheduling or whatever. And so unlike a lot of other positions, I got to be involved in a lot of the creative, like this is why we're doing what we're doing. And so it's funny because sometimes you have these ridiculous motivational, like, why am I standing here? And then I move over there kind of like, what's my motivation? Like really stupid kind of stuff. Like, yeah, your paycheck.
Yeah. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Do what I tell you, what's my motivation? It's the paycheck. But then you get a lot of other really interesting, whether it's creative or business aspect kind of conversations of why they're doing what they're doing or how the really great stuff to be involved in is when it's a real true artistic conversation. How do we convey this message? I was talking to Kevin the other day about filming action sequences and a lot of things that seem really simple. You just throw a camera here and film this thing, and then you go watch it later, and it doesn't look as cool at all as it really is.
Yeah.
So you have these conversations like, okay, how do we make this punch look like a good punch? How do we make this weird thing like this guy jumping around? How do we make that look plausible in a way that doesn't, people aren't like, oh, this is a joke, but you go, okay, I'll buy into it. I'll suspend my disbelief and go along with it. so yeah, in my position, like it was a really unique opportunity to get so much input and, from the writing and the creative aspect to the, like, how are we going to make this look, or the reasons, like, okay, we're choosing these colors in the set to evoke this sort of a emotion, a lot of those things that you pick up in a movie that aren't really consciously overt, the way the camera moves and the feeling that creates, all of that stuff. So yeah, I learned a lot more about the process by doing sound work because of getting to be involved or eavesdrop on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Well, I mean, you're
literally a fly on the wall sometimes, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it also pertains. All of that stuff affects what you do, or vice versa. So it's like you got to be there anyway, man. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, that's perfect, man. I never even thought about that.
And I didn't realize it getting into it, because there were some jobs I had where, like, you're doing lighting, so I never saw the script. I didn't know if I saw an actor, it was maybe passing them at lunchtime, so
sure.
It's a whole different thing when not only I've got to memorize the lines, but, maybe I'm putting a microphone on somebody and, putting a battery pack in their bra or their pants. So you have to have really close personal interactions with, and they have to trust you too. So
totally.
There's some cool stuff that comes out of that. Like, there was a comedy show I was working on where the crew people, we'd crack up laughing all the time. And I'd be sitting there holding a pole. And if I shake too much, it ruins the soundtrack. So I had to be quiet and not moving. And this one guy, he would crack me up so much, I'd lean my arm out, bend over and bite myself on the shoulder to keep from laughing. And then,
oh wow,
a month into the show, he was talking to somebody and he goes, "Oh, I can always tell when when I really get a joke well, because I look over and Preston's biting his arm."
Yeah, right.
I love that.
That's cool. That's great, man. Excellent.
Good times.
Yeah.
I just love hearing the behind the scenes stuff a little bit. I don't know, as an appreciator of film and whatnot, and art in general is one thing. It's like, to appreciate art is great, cool, yay. And then film is and TV is different because it's just such a complex beast. So like you have the complexity stuff, cool. And then when it hits, you hit a home run, like awesome, high fives, everyone, prints money. And something like this that like should have probably done better, but didn't, like, that sucks. But then it's like that other layer that we're talking about here of just like the actual doing it thing, like you're actually doing the thing and you're talking about the thing. Cause like you said, you spend 2 days on a 3-second shot. Like there's just so much behind the camera, so much behind the actual production that it's really fascinating to hear some of those kind of deeper pieces.
And it gives me a real appreciation for it, because it's not just, a poet or a writer just needs pen and paper. A photographer can go out with their camera and capture things, do what they do. But it's like, I think it was Orson Welles maybe who said that, like, to create art, a poet only needs a pen, but a filmmaker needs an army. And it's not just that you need an army; it's this collaborative thing, because you've got the director's got his view of how the book, especially when you're adapting someone else's writing. You read it and you get an image in your mind of how the characters look and talk and what they do, and that may be similar to what the director has in mind. But the writer, the director, the cinematographer, the production designer, the set people, like there's a lot of people that kind of have to buy into a similar vision, but then they got to bring their own artistic creativity to it within the parameters that the production gives them. So there's a lot of, when it works great. And when it doesn't, there's a lot of pointing and questions. But it's hard to make it all. Just the timing of it and the money. I've had movies that somebody's bought my script and we were ready to go, and they've got the money in the escrow account, and we go to sign the paperwork, and he shows up and says, "Hey, I'm sorry, but my wife just found me having an affair, and so my money is now tied up in divorce.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I don't have money for the movie." And so just getting even to that point of, hey, I wrote a script and let's meet, and you like it, and now you have money to put into it. Just getting to that point takes a lot of luck and coordination, and just the fact that any movies get made is really crazy when you see all the different things that can go wrong or could go wrong, and then there's inevitably things that do go wrong, and you gotta roll with it or rise or figure out how to get around it. And So, and then some of them turn out like, what's the Batgirl where they just shelved it?
Yeah, it would just break your heart, dude.
Yeah,
you put so much blood, sweat, and tears into it to never have it come out.
But what might break your heart is have to sit through and watch it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And I heard that was really good too, man. Or people were talking.
Yeah, who
about
knows,
the
man?
show or whatever. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, right on. Very cool. What else?
I feel like that's good. I feel like that's good for me. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather leave it there than be like, I like the outfits. You know, like I think it's like the deeper making and crafting stuff. I really appreciate. So
yeah, I mean, we also talked about we talked about why this property didn't really go anywhere, and we also talked about the original works and the lore and like how this is sort of like the OG and I don't know, we covered a lot of cool things that I thought were really good. We didn't really get into the nuts and bolts of the movie, and I don't know, I could care less. It's a good movie.
there's not a lot. I mean, it's a swashbuckler. Like all of the tropes you would expect to be there are there, and it's fucking tons of fun. So like, it doesn't need to be play by played, and thankfully we didn't. So
no, it doesn't. I mean, we could do any other bits and bobs, little cool parts of the movie that we liked. Now's the time.
I'll throw one. Just like I really was delighted by the
Barsooms.
Him waking up in the cave thing. Delightful death.
Yes. Go ahead.
What did you say, Benny? Sorry.
Now you got two.
I said Barsooms.
Barsooms, yeah. Delighted by the Barsooms.
Sorry.
Well, when he like wakes up in the cave and he's like, oh, and Bryan Cranston's in the corner dead as fuck, you know? Like, I really like that one shot.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting idea. The kind of a facsimile. You know, you're not actually transported, but it's like a weird fax machine, and I kind of like that idea.
Which is very fucking quantum physics-y, considering it was written in fucking 1910 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
No, I agree. I really like that too, man. There's a lot of the science fiction concepts in this story are great. Like I just like the idea of the portals. You know, even the medallions connected to that, you know, and the portals combined with like whichever it was, the 8th or the 9th ray could send you to all these different places. I thought that was really cool. That and the way that they harnessed that to power the ships or essentially push those ships with that light, you know, very cool.
You ever had your ships pushed in?
Dude, that was simultaneously awesome and terrible.
I wonder if that's like the first instance of that that sort of tech, though, because you know, like I'm thinking of like something even as recent as like the the title just went out of my head.
I hate when that happens.
What the hell is the name of the book? Altered Carbon, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a story where shit. Like, you know, like one of the things, like he basically gets his consciousness like just, you know, travels via consciousness. Like his consciousness gets transmitted into like a you know, the unused body of somebody that happens to be in the location that he's going to. And the whole story sort of takes place from there. So it's like very, very similar idea, you know.
Yeah, really
like,
similar, actually. Yeah.
Like you're actually staying where you are physically, but like your consciousness is sort of being transmitted to another place.
Or Avatar for that matter.
Almost like
right? Yeah.
I was
that too.
I was gonna say kind of like Doctor Strange or how they portrayed it in Doctor Strange with the astral body, but not quite the same thing. Really,
yeah, similar kind of thing.
This is really more like putting your actual self into another body, and you can kind of operate around there. But that was cool, and how they sort of revealed that at the end there, you know, when the kid figured out the code for the door and all that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, I was like,
there's a nice
this
little
weird
reveal.
Epilogue going on here that's like totally unnecessary.
Right.
And then like when it came together, I was like, oh, okay, oh yeah, all right, yeah, I see. Okay.
Oh, hey, that
cool.
was cool after all.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was
definitely
almost
like
a
that.
misdirect too, because you're so used to maybe those like Marvel endings or some, you know, that you're ready for a certain trope, but it wasn't quite what you think it's going to be.
You're like ready for like a fan service tack on or whatever.
Yeah.
God.
I will state for the record, I so thoroughly appreciate there wasn't an after credit scene.
Good God, right?
What, you don't like stingers?
No, I don't.
You don't like stingers? You didn't stay for the stinger?
I love how those were
true
so slow
fan.
at first, but it got to the point where people were going to watch other crappy movies just because there was a preview
right?
for this. Or
fuck off, man.
Stinger for that thing. And
that is so bad, dude.
Way to kill that dead horse and beat it again.
Yeah, and then dig a hole and beat it further. For real.
It's like the copying machine in Office Space. Just
yes.
yeah. Cue the gangster rap.
I was just listening to No
feels
Tears
good
by
to be a
Scarface the
gangster.
other day.
Yeah?
Yeah. The song he's playing in the very beginning, dude, when the guy selling flowers walks up and he rolls the window up and locks the door. Totally.
Yeah, I love that one.
Rolls the window up.
Fucking Michael Bolton.
Yeah. The legend.
I can't tell you how many times I've experienced a scene similar to that of like just gangster rap.
Yeah.
40s and blunts out my window and then
Oh yeah.
Roll it. Not the right neighborhood for this.
No.
What the fuck are you doing?
Any other bits and bobs? Anybody?
Nah.
I kind of worked it in the last round.
The last salvo.
Yes.
All right. NDR nuggets. Anybody?
I've got a random ass Lynn Collins nugget for you, Kev.
I got a couple. What's up?
Lynn Collins. I was just checking out her bio, and her first, I think she's remarried now, but her first husband is Stephen Strait from Captain Jim Holden from The Expanse, which I thought was kind of random.
What?
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, she's married to the dude for like 8 years.
Wow.
It's super random, but I was like, oh, okay. Holden. There you go.
That is very random.
Dick Hurts from Holden.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a couple little ones that I kind of thought were kind of cool, and they were the first John Carter story that Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote came out in 1912, and the movie came out on the 100th anniversary of that in 2012.
That's cool.
Whoa,
I think that's cool. In addition to that, the book was actually written in Utah. And much of the film, as we especially know now from Preston, was shot in Utah.
Give me two.
I dig that.
Literally
and then I also
dig.
give me two.
Yeah, yeah. And I dig. I also dig this, man, because like I love Robert Zemeckis, dude. He turned down the chance to direct, saying George already pillaged all that with Star Wars,
which I love.
Which is
I love
exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You know. So there you have it.
It's perfect.
Any other nugs?
Nope.
Deaths. We got a nice juicy chunk
smattering
of deaths.
deaths.
Yeah, finally, man. For like, I'm looking back through the death list here. It's like, oof.
Did Nuggety Bob die? Did you die at all, Nuggety Bob?
Yeah, he did.
I died before we even started.
That's true.
Thank you.
I got a technology death.
I granted him that death by tech, probably half hour before we even started. Because I was like, oh, okay, that's not going to work. Oh, well, that's not going to work either. Oh, you have to drive up to the guy's house? All right, you're dead, dude.
The fact that you had to drive to your neighbors to get the Wi-Fi password is pretty
so
epic,
good,
dude.
I know, it is great.
Well, I'm in the neighbor's guest house, and I still had to drive up to his house to get the Wi-Fi password.
Love it.
I even said at that point, I said, why don't you just call the guy? And he goes, yeah, well, here's the thing. I was like, all right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Would you believe?
Yeah. So starting us off strong, half hour before the show, we had the death by tech from Nuggety Bob. And then Chad had a delightfully dead death. And then I had the Dominic West was not in 300 death. Followed by the death by sandwich death.
Oh, yeah, that was bad, dude.
God,
dad joke,
man. Oh, that was so fucking good. Come on. Then Chad followed that up with the I gave you the Barsoom Buddy's death because that was just
come on
bad as well. It was come on, dude. But my sandwich was bad. Dude, come on.
Bar at a Sue and me was the best joke of the show.
Barsoom Buddies is good, but I also killed you for that.
Okay.
And then you had another delightfully dead death.
No, I
delightfully
did have some
dead again. Yeah, so that was it. We had 6. That was good, man.
That's a good showing, man. I feel like Nuggety Bob's. I think you brought us back to our cul-de-sac-y roots here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
That was good.
It's been a pleasurable journey for me as well.
Yeah, and just being able to just get all that great lore about behind the scenes is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so inevitably, would you recommend this movie?
Fucking hell
Nuggety
yeah.
Bob. I know what you're going to say, but go for it.
Oh, sorry, I forget my name sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. You got a new name.
Well,
it takes some getting used to. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, this is one of those movies like in my career I'm happy to have worked on, proud to be associated with. But I would definitely say if you have an opportunity to see it in 3D, it is absolutely worth making an extra effort, to do that. But luckily, it holds up in the regular 2D too.
Regular D, as I like to call it. Yes.
Regular D. Sunny D.
Sunny fucking D.
Sunny D.
Bazoom.
It's good in any D.
I'm not surprised I never saw this, but I'm bummed that I fell for the never saw it trap because it's really worth a watch, man. It is never even taken the time, and it was really fun, man. It was really fun.
Well said, Benny.
Watch it. Yeah, give it a watch. It's good. It's good stuff.
It is.
It was fun. It's a fun romp.
I agree with Ben. I agree with everybody. It's a great movie. Go see it. And now I've got these audiobooks. I'm so into this whole thing now. So I'm going to enjoy that. So yeah, go see the movie. Unpaid Intern 1. What are we doing next week?
We haven't decided yet. What do you want to do?
What? Do we want to do Furiosa?
Yeah, let's do that. Next week we're doing Furiosa.
Whoa.
I'm going to spray some silver on my face again.
There you go. Get out your cans of chrome spray paint, folks. And get out your fucking checkbook because we're going to do Furiosa, a Mad Max prequel.
Potentially the funniest and most interesting Chris Hemsworth.
Hell yeah. Since Fat Thor.
Portrayal.
Totally. Fat Thor was great, but yes.
More prosthetics here, so it's the same kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, but it works beautifully, man. I actually I watched it since we chatted about it a couple of weeks ago.
Black and white.
I absolutely loved it, man. You were right. It was excellent. So get excited for that. Folks, thanks for joining us. Special thanks to our special guest, Preston, aka Nuggety Bob, for joining us, giving us some excellent insight into the goings-on of that wacky world of John Carter.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. It's great having you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, guys, man.
Thanks for
really
sharing.
Cool time. Appreciate it.
Totally, dude. We'll
sharing
get you back on.
It is.
Hey, it really is. We'll get you back on again for another one, man.
Totally.
Yeah, please.
It'll be a good
time. Folks, thanks for joining us for John Carter. We'll see you next week for Furiosa, a Mad Max prequel saga film of Mars. And that's it. This is me saying goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.
Say bye, man. Nuggety Bob.
Bye, Nuggety Bob.
And that is going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Thank you so much for joining us as usual. I'd like to take a second and thank everybody for supporting us these many years and all of the great ways that you do it. And for anybody that is interested in supporting us, there's a number of great ways to do it. You can support us on Patreon. You can support us by giving us a nice review, and you can also tell people to check out the show. We appreciate all of it, so thank you all very much. If you'd like to check out the show notes for this episode, you can do so in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/274. As always, folks, if you'd like to join in on the social media fun, we lurk around on Instagram at EBD Podcast. Come check us out. Thanks so much for joining us for John Carter. We'll see you next week for Furiosa. So long for now, folks.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop into it.